Hey, family. As you know, Steve Copeland from the Couch Conversation. Steve Copeland from the Couch Conversation. Steve Copeland from the Couch Conversation Show. Steve Copeland from the Couch Conversation. Steve Copeland from the Couch Conversation. Steve Copeland from the Couch Conversation Show. I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna do it again. Steve Copeland from the Couch Conversation. Steve Copeland from the Couch Conversation. Steve Copeland from the Couch Conversation Show. I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna do it again. Steve Copeland from the Couch Conversation. Steve Copeland from the Couch Conversation. Steve Copeland from the Couch Conversation Show. Hey, family. I just wanted to come on here, and I'm waiting for OG to come up because I call OG. OG is a business partner of mine, and he's in another city. And the goal with me dealing with OG, not just talking about my transitional housing program, but down the line is for us to start rehabbing and vitalizing houses for low to moderate income people. And most of the population that I work with, y'all, and it's not just me because I'm getting ready to share some other stuff too. Most of the population that we work with is our homeless population, people that fell on hard time. It could be a job. It could be, by losing their job and they end up becoming homeless, or not being able to pay for some of the expensive apartments or houses that we have in Baltimore City. So I'm letting y'all know who I am as a homeless. And it seemed like sometimes I got to do it real slow for some people. As a homeless advocate, as a human rights advocate, as a community outreach coordinator, as a ordained deacon. My walk and my journey is spiritual. And I ain't talking about being a ghost. So if you read and you study scripture, or whatever books you read and whatever you study, if you know I'm gonna say the author in a sense, right? Whoever you might be modeling your life around, because of the stuff you read, it was a special journey that they was called to. For some of y'all that just like mimicking people's stories, it's the reason why God used them to encourage and motivate us. But I don't want to get too far, but I want to share this with you because I got to go back here. I am a homeless advocate. The name of my LLC is Strengthen the Community, the LaTanya D. Copeland House of Hope. It's a transitional housing program. So I'm going to show y'all how good God is. And you can say what you want, because if you're in here and you're not listening to this, you're going to be lost. I'm letting you know right now. Now, check this out. I'm at 908 Valley Street, Baltimore, Maryland. The people that I thought had my back when it came to helping the homeless and the less fortunate population, It's like they turned against me. But what I did, I sent a call out for the team. Christina Flowers, Isabel Cummings, Homeless Services, the director of Homeless Services just reached back out. The Homeless Services, and I'm thinking about HUD Housing. That's where my mind going. HUD Housing, Senator Antonio Hayes, Senator Coy McCray. These are people that I fellowship with in Baltimore City, politics-wise, politicians, right? So it's a state basically of emergency. Come on, OG. It's a state basically of emergency. You do not mess with our homeless population. Right? So people want to make me out to be the problem. But I'm just saying, here in Baltimore City, watch what I'm getting ready to show you. Christina Flowers happened to become a part of this, who I've been reaching out to. Isabel Cummings, they doing this thing on how they are deducting money from the homeless population people, the fund, to get them the proper help. So now, guess who's starting to speak out now? The people from Homeless Services, the people from housing, that I've been trying to get their attention anyway. So for some of y'all that don't understand, and I try to tell y'all, I'm the big mouth bald-head black dude. So this is what we get ready to do now. For the property at 908 that I'm in with women and children, the landlord was supposed to be my community health. I mean, my Charm City Community Care, right? Their company's supposed to be the mental health care providers for the clients. But the property that I'm in, she's the landlord as well. And I'm not talking about the owner. She's the landlord. The owner is her landlord. She is considered as my landlord with my housing program. She then brought a lot of chaos and confusion to my housing program, mainly when you got to the point of saying, I don't want no children in the building. That's called discriminating, sister. You knew what my housing program was about. But anyway, I'm going to bring it down some. Christina Flowers got involved now. Christina Flowers and I just got off the phone. She's starting to replace a lot of the clients in the house. Everything I wanted done for the people. So basically, the ones that need the necessary help, she's giving them the proper help because she's a homeless advocate. She knows what needs to be done. Everything I understand about homelessness, I get from her. So now, check it out. Everybody that I called on, that I sent out for, like Isabel Cummings and all of them, Attorney General, they stepping in on this issue. They get ready to do a news conference about the issue. Didn't I tell y'all with Bill Henry and them? She even mentioned Bill Henry. Got that slumlord landlord bill passed. So anytime you put people up in the stuff, now mind you, I'll come in, but I know what your property need to be. So if I'm telling you that you need to fix this, fix that, fix this, because it's livable now, but certain things have to be straight up the code. So I'm telling you from my experience. So now guess what? Christina right there. And when she went in there, she did the same things I did. She evaluated certain things. So we talking. And I'm just saying this for some of y'all that don't understand what the big mouth bald-head black dude do in Baltimore City. Because y'all think I just be talking for nothing. So this is a beautiful feeling. Because right now, she's, from her observation of what stuff going on And I'm going to tell you right now, if you are a real estate investor and you over there renting out property to people and your property is not up to code, it's coming for you. Because it's making this Jewish guy look horrible. And it's making the woman that allowed me to come in with my people look horrible. But they steady pointing fingers here. Nah, sis, you knew what was what. You knew what was what before you handed me the keys. You gave me the opportunity to house the people, which I needed that. But now you want to sit back and you want to flip the switch. Not now, baby. Not now. Because guess what? It's going to fall back on you. And I think you know it. And the owner. Christina Flowers. And I'm going to just say Laura. I met Laura a while back. Laura can get people into like studio apartments at this time when I met Laura. So her, Christina Flowers, and us, we talking. Christina Flowers is more aware of OG, like taking the homeless people, putting them in the houses and putting them in the programs where I'm at. So the only thing I do is the transitional just to hold them. And she comes in with the professional side of everything. As far as she actually know where a lot of these places that our people need, the programs, me and her talking, she telling me about everything. Now, mind you, our biggest argument with the city as a whole, what's up, Wim? Our biggest argument with the city, like Brandon Scott, they know what to do, but a lot of times they don't do it. So me and Christina on the phone, because y'all hear me talk about Brandon a lot. So the director, I had the number, like I told y'all, to the director of homeless services, to the director of housing. The goal was to get with them, and Mr. Allen put me on point. So I don't want to badmouth my brother. And that's the real estate investor. The reason why I said I don't want to, badmouth him, because he's willing to work with the people to put them into permanent housing. But now, when you put people into your property, if it's not straight, they're going to come for you. And that's the only thing I've been trying to tell them. Like when I say fix that elevator, when I say, like when I was looking at the kitchen, and I know the kitchen need to be up to date because it's a commercial kitchen, right? They kept coming up with excuses why this should be done, that shouldn't be done. Well, I can go to a restaurant, get somebody to come out, let us know everything we need to do to get the kitchen up and running and up to code. So people like him and Ms. Deborah spoke against it. But you want to do assisted living program. I told y'all I need somebody in there to strip the floors. I was going to start stripping them myself with my crew. I'm 63 years old. I don't feel like this no more. But I had to do what I had to do because I want to beautify the place. And I'm sending messages out to y'all, right? I need help. I need help in this building. I need help with this and that. And I'm talking about Baltimore City. None of y'all stepped up to the plate. You should be ashamed of yourself. Let me make that clear. Because a lot of them are your loved ones, your relatives, the people that you don't want in your household. So the only thing I'm asking y'all, help me help them. Wouldn't even send 10 cents. When I put up the Cash App, y'all wouldn't even put a nickel, a penny. But you rather see your loved ones and your relatives suffer. And I'm talking about to y'all too in any other cities. If you know transitional housing programs out there and they done took that headache off of your hands, I'm talking about your relatives, your loved ones that you don't want in your household. If you got $5, $10, $20, $30, $50, or if you got more, where you could like keep them over there. I don't want them over here. Teach them how to do the right things. Because understand, those programs out there that don't get government funding like mine, we're actually doing you a favor. That's your daughters, that's your son, that's your grandbabies. At least they're not out in the streets now. We have a temporary a temporary solution until we can build them up to help them be stronger. Y'all will sit back because you don't want them in your house. You'll turn around. Here, crook, he this, he that. I ain't gonna do that. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna back it up. I'm gonna back it up. I'm gonna back it up. Because I'll go right into that war zone. And that's what makes me proud of a lot of y'all. When you turn your backs on your own family. So, OG, the reason why I called you, because I just got off the phone. Christine Flowers replaced so far about 5 people. She got them in the other programs that's, will actually guide them like mines do. But they still offer the same wraparound service and everything. And like I told her, I'm going to try my best not to badmouth this woman. Because my program is to help educate people, to help them change the quality of their lives around. But once you come in, you got to be the one willing to do the necessary work to change. Some people, as we was talking about certain clients, that the landlord was poisoning. Come on, sis, because I'm ready to call your daughter and tell about you. I was getting ready to call this. Wendy, if you're looking, I was getting ready to call you to tell you actually what's about to happen. Now, keep in mind, it's not about me. It's not about me, right? It's about the people. And plus, I'm going to just say this, bro. To me, it's up to code. Let me put it like that. The only issue, to be honest, the elevator. So in a sense, no. Because that elevator has to be fixed. It has to be fixed. And it's up to him, the owner, to fix it. Now, if they shut it down for that, all I know, no. No. But I'm going to share this with you. That got me to OG. Marlo Hargrove is my business partner, church member. So that's the one with the FACE program. So he works with ex-offenders, returning citizens, and all of that. Him, the owner, and about 5 people was at the building today. The owner, plus, is lost about everything. He don't even know what's going on. Know why? Because he's not talking with me to understand. And be honest with you, plus, I'm not trying to be smart. That's what the heck they get. Because I'm the one, keep in mind, I'm the one you need to talk to. Miss Deborah is considered as my landlord. That's not her housing program. So if you're not talking to me, then y'all going off of misinformation. So I can actually tell you what's what. I can tell you, you need to talk to me. You having meetings behind my back about my business. You need to talk to the one that's running the business in there. And that goes to show you when I be saying about that he said, she said thing, and I had to explain this to Christina Flowers, you taught me everything I needed to know about housing as far as working with our homeless population. So anytime somebody come up against you, I mean, somebody bad mouthing me about certain things to you, you need to understand you taught me very well when it comes to our homeless people and when it comes to what needs to be done. I said, thank you so much. Christina Flowers on it. She said, well, I'm calling in the news people too. Right? Now let me show y'all where I'm going at with this. When you have people, what's up, Mo, that's slipping through the gap, well, say like certain people homeless services might not work with to put into the proper housing. That's where we come in at. So what we'll do, when you're not treating people properly, we're coming for you. That's why certain business certain business ethnics, if you don't understand, listen. We are homeless advocates. So we have to reach out when it comes to the people, homeless services. We have to reach out to housing. We have to reach out to the mayor of Baltimore City. And if it get any deeper, we have to reach out to the council members. It ain't about your money right now. It ain't about how you can benefit and profit off the people right now. Because that's what a lot of people do. It's more about how much I can make here, how much I can make there, which is fine. Because you're going to eventually get paid for your services. But when you put the money before the people, in my case, you can get in the fucking back with me. And if you don't like the way I put it, I'm telling you. We talking about human beings. We talking about people's lives. So first thing first, you got to come up with intervention programs. You got to come up with solutions and ways and means to help them move forward from a dire situation. And not to knock nobody, and I'm talking about here in Baltimore City. If this is not your arena, you know, dealing with like politics and dealing with I would say human services, but dealing with all of that too. If this is not your arena, and some things I say out my mouth, if you lost, that's because I'm speaking a different language. You get me? And that's why a lot of people lost. So now, guess what, Jeff? I ain't got to do nothing because it's already being done. She sent me a message because the thing is, the owner done changed the lock on the door. He got my buddy Marlo with him. Marlo wouldn't know what I'm about. He's at another building. We want to know, just like you said, Plus, certain little things Christina Flowers might have spotted. Hey, common sense, baby. Certain little things that Christina might have spotted, mainly when it comes to the children. And she's telling me, in her case, why she feel as though they shouldn't be in there right now. So the statement she made to me when we was talking the other day, Steve, don't go back in there. I said, okay. It's the people. Listen to what I'm saying. If it's not up to code, the landlord has to get it. The owner has to get it up to code. It's not a bad thing. It's just fixing what needs to be done. You live in a beautiful place. Are you? You got a nice amount of money in the bank. Pull some of that freaking money out and fix your stuff up. Oh, why you say it like that? Because that's how y'all look at me. Excuse me. Can you take what, maybe 100,000? You worth like plenty of millions. So
Can you take about 100,000 and fix your property upright, please?
Because that's how some of y'all will come for it. I'm a freaking man. So I'm like this. Come here. Already know. If you got it abundantly, and if you see the less fortunate, in my case, I'm dealing with people that lives below the poverty rate. If you coming in seeing how you can cash and fatten up your pocket, please stay away. That's all I'm asking. Because if you coming in and you want to help people, and we already know it takes money to build things up. We already know. And if you well established and not being smart when that time come, I can't take it with me. But if you, I ain't saying spend all your money, even don't get it wrong. No. But if you can help. And as business people, I already know that we got the money, not me, but we got money. But the first thing you say, well, I put this over here, I'm gonna make off with it. And that's what you're supposed to do. Because that's like the banks. When you got your millions and hundreds of millions and your billions, who you think they lending a lot of that money to that belongs to you? And they making money on your money. But when you hear somebody like me say something, he greedy. He is the banks doing a good job with it. Who you think gonna lend me your money when I'm ready to go that route? Just at a little higher interest rate. Because they spending your money to make money. Please tell me that's not how it works. But my whole thing with that, we talked for a while. And I said, Christina Flowers, I miss this. I miss this. As far as the work her and I used to do together. Everybody, y'all, because of my big mouth. Everybody, y'all, because of my big mouth and how outspoken I am. How outspoken. They shy away from me. Because in their mind, in their head, something wrong with him. That goes to show me a lot of y'all do not understand the life of Jesus Christ. Oh, God, I did not want to go there. That goes to show me thanks, William. Now, me showing you 908 is where your money is going. Into 908. If you invest $10,000 into my project, I'm going to ask you this, right? Or not ask you this. This is just the way we'll set it up. How much percentage off of that 10,000 you want back? Now, once I use it, now understand the way I'm doing things, it's going to come right back. It's going to come back because of the things that we're doing with your interest. That's your return. If you choose to leave your 10 to be flipped again, you'll get a check for the interest rate of your return, personally to you, not to your bank account. Because what they do is flip it again. And it's just there. And you earn interest, but they'll flip it again. Then they'll flip it again. So you're not seeing it, at least in your hand, to transfer it. Now you know you're making it. You get me? That's what a lot of people don't realize. Now, if you missed it, I'm going to do it again. If you invest 50,000 in it with interest of me paying you off of that 50,000. You will get your interest monthly, right? If you choose to take your 50,000 back, you can. But if you want to leave it to be flipped again, you'll get a check for your interest each month. It's not in, you'll see the interest because it's like your money sitting in the bank anyway. But do you see that interest in the form of a check? You'll see it on your account. It's just there. But guess what? They have a check come each month from your interest where you can turn around and put it back yourself. You'll see the difference here in what you're doing. So that's just to show you how you will see the return on your interest, on your investment, or on your, See, they won't tell you stuff like that. They won't separate it to help you see. Your money is already in the bank. It's in the bank. So what return is you actually seeing? Unless you look at your account. Oh. But now you got it here in the bank with me. But each month you get that check. So now you can see it for yourself. And you'll smile first, right? Ooh, I made this much off of that. Well, you can put it back in or into another account, because that's your investment part of what you're doing with your money anyway. The same way when you invest in Bitcoin and all that. If you got a group of people that's investing in a certain thing and you invest in what I do, I can get you a quicker return. All right, Plus, come on. Come on. Because that's all I'm saying, right? Plus, when I ask for investors, I'm in and because I have to, I'm trying to watch certain things. But when if I ask you to sponsor, I ask you to like partner with me, right? Or I ask you to be a sponsor. What I'm asking you to do, look at the population that I work with, the homeless population. So if you have some investment, some money-wise, and you can help that family, if it's no more than say like 3 months, 6 months, a year, if you can afford to help them, help them. That's why when I say sponsors, business partners, and investors. So that's like you taking this family and they're struggling and they need somewhere to stay. If you can't help them, and I'm gonna use this as an example, they want a house, they 3 bedrooms. I gotta go there with the bedrooms, right? You got somebody that want a 3-bedroom apartment or house, and you say, well, I pay your rent for that first year. That's what I'm looking for, a sponsor. Now, it don't have to be that long. Don't get it wrong. Don't get it wrong. Or a family need clothes and food because the mother don't have that extra money, right, to buy certain things. And you might say in your head, right, well, I'm gonna take $500 a month and invest it with the family. That's all. I'm talking about like we dealing with the homeless population. People that don't have that extra. And you say, hey, I'm willing to cover such and such and such. So that's why I asked you, would you sponsor family? That's why when you hear me say a sponsor, or I might say a business partner, or investor, if you coming in as an investor, then I'm looking at you more on the financial tip. But it has you helping the people. And plus, I ain't got nothing to say to you no more. Reason why I'm saying that, because you shared some stuff with me the other day I wasn't aware of. I'm like, thank you. And everything you saying, that's the point. And when I talked to Christina today, plus everything, and I thought you blew my mind. Christina got it all covered. So look, plus on top of that, this is where I'm at. I'm like, what the hell I'm looking for primary, a healthcare provider and all this type of stuff in the PRP and stuff like that. Christina told me today, she said, Steve, I do all that. Oh, shit. Everything plus. And what you said about, now I'm looking at the accreditation part, right? But basically, everything you said, she's connected because of what she do and the other people. Everything you said, bro. And I'm looking at the accredited side of stuff and how certain like social service or SSI, stuff like that, Social Security, can actually step in on that end. And she's now connected with a lot of it. So the conversation we had the other night, plus, and just to understand a little bit more where it starts from. And that's what you helped me to understand. I was hoping that you realized it. Because like I tried to say, it's y'all that's the next step. See, the wraparound side of things, because you provide the services, right? So Christina today, from us talking, basically everybody in that building, she got places that they can go. So now this is where it involves homeless services. This where it involves housing. Because remember what I said, I'm just transitional. And I told Christina this today. Anything outside of people saying Steve this, Steve that, this and that, I said they are lying. Because my thing is just transitional housing. The wraparound or the professional services come from the outside. And the clients, I guide your way. Christine Flowers already know. Because the ones that's in our housing program, we have to know the proper direction to guide you in. So that's what we was talking about. And now that I understand more I already knew what Christina did. It's just God had me separate for a while. So I told her I'm glad we back talking. So right now she's going to bring this to the attention of the news. So she get ready to do a news conference. But I'm going to tell you right now what it's going to be all about. The neglect of homeless services. The oversight or the mayor is not looking into certain things. But I'm going to take it away from the mayor right now. Because the mayor gave homeless services some years ago. Matter of fact, over 2 years ago, because 2 years ago I got locked up. So it was before that. The mayor gave homeless services $92 million. He didn't give it to them for them to just sit on it. It's ways and means, well, it was to service the homeless population. Another thing too, don't forget, we got a lot of people living in the woods that needs homeless services. A lot of them need mental health services too. So you got people that's living in the woods that's being neglected. So this is where Christine and I come in at, because we're advocating for those that the city, our council, our politicians tends to overlook. When I get people calling me for housing, they be like, Mr. Copeland, I done called 5 or 6 places. You the only person that answered your phone. And I bust out laughing because I get it all the time. These are 5 stars, 4-star places. I'm at number 1 right now. But I provide the proper services compared to the ones that get the money. I had a female call me not too long ago. Excuse me, y'all, because I say female. I had a woman call me not too long ago for another woman, wanting to see can she get into the housing program. I was going to tell her go down to the building anyway. So this is what separated that conversation. She has a 22-year-old son. So now I can help the mother. But then when it comes to the son, I would have to put the son in the areas with the men. He's 22. So I have to put the mother in the area with the women or with the women and children. The son, now he's a grown man. Whether you want to call him a boy or not, he's a man. So I have to put him with men. And guess what? That's when the price, the way what's her name got it set up, $600 per bid. So now we talking about $1,200. Unless I put the 22-year-old in the room with his mother. A 22-year-old man. Go in your head, please. Understand that. We're not talking about a 10-year-old, 11-year-old. A 22-year-old. With a sunrise and all this type of stuff, and you might want to have those little personal times. I won't do it. So you have to know how to guide people. So what I did, OG, Harry Mead is a master contractor. So he fixes up people's property. I gave her Harry Mead number. I said he has a place for $900. This apartment. It's a house, but it's like a 2-bedroom apartment in there, 2 of them. I said, tell her, call him. Another thing too, she got the money to pay for something at least about $1,000, but they want 3 times as much. I already know a lot of people cannot pass the background check where they won't double the security. And a lot of y'all don't understand the reason why the landlord gives you that double security, because you are a risk at paying your bill. And y'all will sit back, that don't make no sense. That don't know. They looking at how you pay your information, your stuff. And if you are considered as a risk, then they have to protect themselves. They can use it to benefit you by not charging you double security. And that's with me. I don't want you to use their background check against them when you throw that extra security, because a lot of people don't have that money like that first coming in. So to be honest with you, in preparation for all that, you need to start saving your money. If you know you got evictions on your stuff, you need to save your money, because it will make you look like you don't pay your bills. So that's the point of coming into the wraparound service, to help prepare you, to help you to be responsible. So when you pay me your space for your space, your bed space, that's $600, and I write you a receipt. Even if you're not able to give it on the first of the month, as long as you're able to give it before before it's late, then I can tell the landlord for the regular rental property, oh, they pay that stuff on time. And I can show him your receipts. And for a lot of y'all that don't know anything about transitional housing or temporary housing, and if you don't know, listen to learn so you can better educate other people that don't understand. Listen to the bald head, big mouth black dude. I don't come on here for nothing. When? That's why people don't get the necessary help that they need. The whole goal is, didn't I say I just provide temporary housing? That's all. And you have to prepare people for the permanent part. But check this out. Don't no landlord want you in his house if he think you gonna go in there and tear it up. Well, then I might as well stop doing what I'm doing. I might as well stop doing what I'm doing. I might as well just stop trying to help people, the ones that fell on hard time, regain a life worth living. And guess what? If people don't learn to live a more productive way of life, a more responsible way of life, you know what's going to happen to them? They're going to prison. Because they're going to start doing destructive things. That's why I realized, when I'm not being smart, you one of the good ones. But a lot of officers now being taught for you to fuck up so you can go to prison. Now, where? The prison is the biggest slave plant in the world, bro. I'm risking my reputation. So once again, I'm risking my reputation and helping people to turn the quality of their life around. Know why I do it? Because God sent people my way to help me turn my life around. Yeah, you can join the live. Oh, I didn't know that was you that sent the request.
Copeland, what's up, man? You know I love you, brother.
Now, I asked you this before, right? And I'm going to ask you this again. I want to ask you this, and I know you're not going to be able to answer straight out, right? But remember when I told you the white officer that I've been working with about my clients? When he wasn't on his camera, me and him had some wonderful conversations. And once he got on his camera, he became a total different person. He knew all about my housing program. His commander knew about my housing program. His chief knew about my housing program. Why would this man charge me with home invasion on my own stuff? Burglary on my own stuff. Assault. Wait a minute. Why would he create all these false charges against me?
So you said this was your house, right? That you're renting out?
Right.
And you went inside the house. I remember having this conversation with you.
No, let me back it up. I was renting the house from the same guy that was leasing the house, like rooms for rent. So I came in with my housing program. So how was he able to charge me with on my own lease? I signed the lease, so I'm considered as the tenant. And this is my rental property and my business. How was he able to do that?
So, did you go into his bedroom?
I just actually, I'm leaving it right there for right now because I'm gonna tell you what he did. He charged me with home invasion. He charged me with burglary. He charged me with armed robbery. He charged me with assault. He did not know that the person that he charged me with burglary, home robbery, assault was my nephew. And in the police report, from what my nephew told him, he told him it was two guys that came in there and assaulted him. He never once said me. It was his father and somebody else. I never expected for his father to swing on him. That was in the police report. He never once said Uncle Steve did anything. He never once. But this is what he used to have me arrested.
So what did the police report say? That's because, before anybody goes to jail and stuff, that person's going to be asked, do you want to press charges? With domestic violence, is a different story. Like, in the state of Florida where I'm at, there is no, like, the state picks up DV all the time. Like, you don't have a choice. Someone's going to jail regardless. But in your situation, did you read the report? Did that person say, yes, I want to press charges on you? That's how you end up in cuffs. If that person says, no, I don't want to press charges, then everybody walks away and they're left alone.
Well, let me tell you how I ended up in cuffs, right? Remember I told you the officer knew that my housing program, he knew this was my housing program. His commander-in-chief knew this was my housing program. The Eastern District Police Department knew this was my housing program. His lieutenant knew this was my housing program. Why would you turn around and write a fake police report about me doing a home invasion on my own property and business when all of y'all knew?
Yeah, I don't know why they did that. I mean, did you look at the report and find out? I mean, just because they know it's your housing project and stuff, they still got a job to do. Like, if I was to go to one of your housing projects and I know this is one of your housing projects and stuff, I still don't know the legalities of what kind of contract you have with your tenants, all that stuff becomes a civil issue, and we've talked about that.
Right. All of that was a civil issue, but guess what he did? He used that to get me off the street. And that's what I was asking you. So this time, if I ever have to go speak out against, like, the police is making fake reports to have people put away, I can. Because guess what? At the end of everything, when I did go to court for something that I didn't do, I was pleading guilty to just push it behind me. I was pleading guilty to just push it, leave it alone. But when the prosecutor told me this, Mr. Copeland, we know that you didn't do anything. We know that you didn't know that that person was going to swing on him and take his phone or whatever. I said, oh, really? But you are found guilty. That was the only thing they could get me with, by association. And I looked over at her and I wanted to tell her so bad, this is the assistant state's attorney. I wanted to tell her so bad, so is your boss, and so is the mayor, so is the commissioner, because I deal with all of them. They know me. So when you get to the point of wanting to put somebody in something that you know they didn't do, just because they was there, but you want to charge somebody with guilty because you was there by association. And I'm like, oh my God. So I never once, right now to this day, talk with a judge to tell them about my situation and what I do as a human rights advocate, as a person that does transitional housing. they would not let me go to court to talk to nobody in that sense, like a judge. So I'm telling you what they did with.
You would have been able to talk to them and let them know what happened and what was going on and all that stuff, because you were put in a situation that you're saying was beyond your control, and these officers went into the house, accusing you of, I guess, breaking and entering and all that stuff, and armed. What is it? You said armed burglary, or what is it that you said? Armed or assault with a deadly weapon, or assault with a weapon.
Hey, William, you didn't listen to me the other day when I said I don't like explaining myself to the police officers.
Yeah, I feel bad for you, man. That's the thing. Like, a person, and I've known you for a while now, and it breaks my heart every time you tell the story. And it's just like, man, like,
how you think? Be honest with you, I feel, and I want to show y'all something as a result of what I went through over the prison, right? Because of these line manipulating, no good freaking officers. The detective, I don't even know her. She asked me questions and I answered. She asked me something else and I answered it. And she told me this. She said, that's all you had to do is say yes or no. I said, no, I won't. You asked me a question, I'm gonna answer it. She looked at me. This was a white detective. She looked over at me. It was like, man, if I can jump across this table, I will whoop your tail. Right? I didn't believe. I mean, I'm just saying some stuff. So let me tell you, I was arrested March the 12th. My court date for that was April the 9th. The reason how I knew that detective was really mad at me, she went back to a text from January the 18th from me and one of my clients, and she had me indicted where I could not make it to court April the 9th. Why? And I asked my lawyer, this incident that the guy police officer created, the 14 charges, was in March. What do January got to do with March? He said, Steve, I don't know. So this is what I told him. I said, there you go. Was the fuck the black man? He said, somewhat. And that's when I realized how police can use their power. And the thing with that, Wim, and I'm not trying to be smart because I know everybody not like that. You talking about racism? Because every time when I mention them too, I don't say their names. I said these racist mother suckers. I don't say their names. You know why? Because I don't want to shame their family the way they did me with mine.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to. And I want to show you. Because I got proof. I sent videos and all that over to TikTok about what was going on with me. Now I'm going to show you this right here. And it's a shame, bro. It's a shame before God. It's a shame. Anytime I got to call the police on the police because of their behaviors, it's a shame. And it makes good men like you and women look bad. And I thank God I don't work around people in that sense, because as a human being, I ain't talking about with the badge and all that. As a human being, I'm going to come for you. As a person that's supposed to be protecting and serving the community, and you doing something like that? Come on. Come on. I'm going to show you this right here. And I made sure everybody know, just in case some foul play come along. Wait a minute. I went past one, but I want to show you my wall of shame for these policers. I even had I'm sitting out here one day, me, the lieutenant, and all of us out there. This guy came to get his brother to take him to a recovery program. And I'm out there talking with their lieutenant and everything. The lieutenant asked me to let him stay till tomorrow. And the goal was I called somebody else to get him into their program. And here come the street police running off at their mouth. In their mind, he's putting them out. I said, no. His brother came to get him to take him to a recovery program. And to tell him how he was disrespecting me and I'm helping him. So this is one of the clients that I called them out for. But I hate when I go to look for something and I can't find it. But I want to show you this, right? Because I keep track of everything I do. And when you come up against me, it's just the point of fighting you back. But I wanted to show you this. See this right here? You know what that is, right?
I have no idea. Were those business cards?
No, they're not business cards. They the officer's name and badge numbers that was coming for me. Your goal is to protect and serve. Why would you come up against a community activist that you get paid to go back into the city to help the people? I don't get paid, but I'm in the city with intervention programs to help turn things around. Why would me and you argue? That's what I'm telling them. Because they made me feel like what I was doing to help, resolve the issues in the communities was wrong.
So when you were there trying to help this one guy go to a recovery program, was it like a court-ordered recovery program or his family was trying to get him to go?
He's in my transitional housing program.
Yeah, no,
I got you with that. If I know, wait a minute, William, if I know that you are actually a smug user or something, I won't let you in my housing program because I don't do the recovery thing. I don't do that. So you have to be clean. You have to be independent. Then if you come in and from the recovery process, if you come in and you slip up, the goal is to get you back into a program. And I'm going to tell you a lot of the stuff I'm sharing with you. I was telling the officers, if y'all want me to come around and sit with y'all just to help y'all better understand the work I do in the community, I have no problem with that. But now I started realizing they is taught. You see how you ask me questions according to the laws? They was taught about the laws, but they don't have no solutions. They know how to apply the law.
So I agree with you on that. Like, we're taught the law, we study the law, but the law is also on even the bad guy's side too.
Oh, I know. I know.
There are things that, like, I can't force. If I see a person who's an alcoholic, whatever, and they don't want treatment, I can't force them to. Now, unless they're in a danger to themselves or others, then I can put them under a Marchman Act. If they say they want to hurt themselves or others, I can put them under a Baker Act. But if they're living in their house, and I don't know what your contract is, like, nobody can force that person to go to a drug facility to seek treatment. It'll be up to a judge to either order them, and, like, it's your home, but the judge didn't tell you, hey, Stephen, go and tell this guy he's got to go to a rehab. It's still your home, and if the family gets what they call a ex parte order, then law enforcement can go there and force him out and get him to go to a rehab. But nobody is legally obligated to go to a rehab facility.
You see this?
Yeah.
This is the other side of the police. You know what was told to me? To report these officers to internal affairs.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was by other officers. I even had a lieutenant on the phone trying to tell him who I was and what I do in the community. Guess what? They ain't even listen.
Yeah.
Around the Eastern District Police Department, they didn't even know I was going through all of this with the street polices and sergeants.
I understand. I understand your frustration, and I can hear your voice and stuff, man. And I know you're trying to do right. And
I'm disappointed.
I get it.
And the hold up. Not the officer. I'm not the badge. Please get it right. I'm disappointed in the damn people. They call themselves, but behind, no, the people, the person, the character, the personality, how they try to use it to really intimidate people. I'm talking about the human being, not what you got on. And that's what I got into with their prides, their egos. I'm sitting up there talking with the police. He gonna sit up here and do this with his stuff, right? Like, yeah, I'm the man. And I'm looking at him, right? I'm the man. I'm like, you're an insecure little kid. Like, you trying to intimidate me.
Well,
See,
I get it.
this the type of stuff when I'm at the town hall meeting, right? And I'm with the commissioner and I'm with our state's attorney and all of that, because I'm telling you, I'm seeing it for myself. So I can only, from seeing it for myself, imagine what they do to the inner city people. And from talking with you, Wim, I know just from what I experienced, I mean, listening to you, you not like some of that. The same officer that wrote those 14 fake charges, talking about the street police. The first time I called them, one of my clients, the same client I'm talking about, was off his medication, right? When they come out, when I call them to come out and they know what type of transitional housing I run, they suppose they took that young man to go and be evaluated, mentally evaluated. They didn't do it. So I went down, they kept saying landlord, tenant, boom, landlord, tenant, boom, landlord, tenant. That's all I was hearing. I said, I am the tenant. He is my client. He's in my housing program. He's a client. So understand the difference between me saying tenant now and client. He's in a program. So they steady singing landlord, tenant, boom, landlord, tenant, boom. I wasn't trying to evict him. I needed y'all to help me with his mental state. So I went down to the courts since they said landlord, tenant, boom, landlord, tenant, boom. This the police is in their songs, right? So when I talked to the lady at the rental court, she thought I was coming in there to fill out for back money and everything. No. That's when you go to get them evicted, when you're trying to collect back the money that they owe. I said, no, I have a temporary housing program. I'm not looking for the money. That's not what it was. I needed help for them. So once I explained that to them and told them what was what, they took me upstairs to a judge. The judge did an mental evaluation paper for me. That's all I wanted the police to do, was to take him to get evaluated so we can get him back on his medication. Why is we going through all this?
Yeah, because the law enforcement can't force an individual to get mentally evaluated unless they deem that this person is
the police, Wham, listen, please, let me finish. You know what the judge, okay, I got the mental evaluation. It went back to the police station. They came around and took him with the emergency vehicle. Let me finish, because it's on y'all page. Look on your page for the trauma response. Look on your page. See, that goes to show me, I know a lot of them know the information, but you don't look at your own pages. Because it told me what to do in the case of emergency. You dial 911. So when they came out, they started feeding me that same bull junk. I said, it's on your page. Well, anyway, I did it a second time with the same individual because they didn't put him on his medication. But this time, the first time, the psychiatrist reached out to me. Now, understand, this is a transitional housing program. This is business. So because the psychiatrist had reached out to me, but we couldn't talk, he only kept him for 10 hours and let him go because he needed to get a better understanding of what was going on. So I did it again. I called the police for them to come and get him and take him to get mentally evaluated. They did the same song and dance. So I went back down to the courts. This time, a judge told me, she said, Mr. Copeland, you weren't supposed to came here. Once you called them and told them what was what, they were supposed to have took him to get mentally evaluated, like at the psychiatrist spot, the hospital. Now, check this out, Wham. I'm not trying to be smart.
No, you're good.
I'm going down there to do their job. I'm doing their job. So I gotta go again to get emergency petition, which goes to the district for them to come out and take him to get evaluated. This time, this is the second time I did it. They supposed to kept him 24 hours. I don't want to confuse you. The first time. The second time at the mental health part, they supposed to kept him 48 hours. They kept him 2 hours and let him go because he talked with the police, he talked with them, and he made them think wasn't nothing wrong with him, and they let him go. Nobody told me that they was releasing him. So the officer was completely out of order. Number one, he was out of order. That was the second one. I did a third one because I needed him evaluated to get him on his medication so he wouldn't walk around, in a crazy state of mind and do something stupid to get himself hurt. So this time I did that, and I did it with my nephew because I couldn't get his medical care card stuff to get him the proper mental health services that he needs. So now I got to do this so we can get his information. So guess what? The third time, once again, I go back down there, the same judge, Mr. Copeland. I said, Your Honor, I know. It's like the police is not doing their job. So anyway, hey, Paul, I've been trying to reach you, bro, and you will not. Shut up, Paul. I already know y'all go through a lot. I already know. I was trying to reach you on the on something else. I've been trying to, the system is broke. That's why I'm trying to, from what I got, and you know what happened to me. And I'm just saying with my friend Wham, I'm just looking at how sometimes when you look for people, the officers, I'm gonna just say, to really help you do what needs to be done, how some of them will come up against you. So this is the third time that I'm trying to get help for this young man. I'm trying to get him back on his meds. That's all, because he's wilding out. This time, Wham, Paul, the same police that wrote them 14 police's report, the paperwork went to Eastern District for 2 people this time. An officer came out, I didn't know until he told me, to serve them, to take them away with the emergency vehicle truck, the trauma truck. Guess what? The paperwork for the same guy that I had signed an emergency petition before, now they can't find his paperwork. The same officer that wrote me up. Those 14 fake charges. The same officer with the detective, Paul, they raided my niece's house. I was staying with my niece. Me and my niece was sharing a house. They went in there. The detective did this. Said that I supposed to stole some Gucci glasses, right? Some checkbooks, right? From homeless people. Now I'm over the prison. Tore her house up. She ran because she wasn't used to that. The only time I'm used to police is raiding people's houses when you're doing illegal stuff. I'm talking about smug wise. I'm like, huh? It was detective that did that. That had them come in. She did some fake stuff. Not only that, while one of my clients was found unalive in one of my housing programs. And I told my lawyer, I said, this thing is bigger than what you realize. It ain't no justifying this bull crap. It ain't no justifying it. And none of that is in the police report, the regular police report. But if you look up my name, Paul, you will see where they raided the house. If you look up my name, Paul, you will see with the same officer that wrote the 14 charges, right? And I was getting ready to get out on the 14th, put my clothes on and everything, and they locked me back up because he did a burglary in the 4th degree on my own stuff. Follow the paper trail. That was his way of letting me know, Negro, we got as much power over you as we want. But the thing with that is, Paul, and I'm not trying to be smart, that was the first time in my life, I was 61 years old, experienced some bull junk like that. So I wanted the new police commissioner to know what happened. Ivan Bates is a little familiar on what happened. Brandon Scott is familiar on what happened. Isabel Cummings, Inspector General, was the one that told me don't turn my back on the police department and helping them. That's one of the reasons why, Paul, I walked away from my housing program because I did not want to talk to the police because I understand y'all understand law, but you don't really want to hear the truth. And I ain't trying to be smart, Wham. I'm telling you what I'm going through right now. And I walked away from my building because I'm on 3 years of parole, Paul, for something I didn't do. So I didn't want to come in contact with the police to be lied on again. That's why I walked away from my housing program. And I watched the ones was there. When I tell them who I am and what I do, they don't want to hear that shit. They want to know what laws did you break, Mr. Copeland. I ain't break nothing. And I watched them go out to try to find out what they can cause me with on something. I said, ask my board members, because I was here to have a board meeting. And I realized, and it's not to put nothing, they only doing their job. That's what I had to see. They only doing their jobs. But when you tell them basically what's what, they ain't trying to hear that. They want to know, did you have a good? A good? Did you have this? Did you have that? And I'm going to tell you this, Wham. It was a guy I was arguing with about his baby mother needed somewhere to go. He came for me. Big bouncer dude. I'm sitting in the office in the chair like this. I'm sitting in an office. This boy reached back like this. I don't know what he had. My staff ran. And I'm talking to the officer to let him know what really went down. The guy said I pulled out some scissors on him. And I told him, I said, I don't have no scissors. I didn't have no scissors. I didn't pull none out. But guess what? I'm sitting in the office in a chair like this. The police gonna say, do you got scissors? I said, yeah, I got scissors in there in my office. But I'm sitting in the office space with my secretary in there. He gonna say that you got scissors. It was some scissors sitting right there in the little container, and there's scissors sitting over here in the container. You gonna ask me do I have scissors? And we're in the office space. That's just like asking me, do you have a stapler? And you see three of them sitting right there on the table. Why would you ask somebody that's in a office, do you have scissors? And you in the office. I looked at him and I thought that was one of the dumbest things you could have asked somebody. And I told him too. I said, the guy did like this on me. And everybody ran. So by the time he went to check that out, he moved his truck. You ain't checked that, did you? But I'm the one that called you. I had my staff call y'all. And I called you. But the moment you come up, you'll talk to everybody else before you talk to the person that called you. So by that time, you coming for me. And I knew right then and there, shut your mouth, Steve. And I want to know, in a way, why do y'all do that?
I wouldn't have answered that question. I would have said look around the office.
Well, be honest, maybe it is some, but I don't know too many offices that don't have scissors in it. I don't know too many offices that don't have staplers in it.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying
this is an office building. I wouldn't have answered that question. I would have said this is an office building.
And guess what he did? The scissors that was sitting over there that belongs to one of my staff members, because she sits at that desk, he took the scissors. He forgot the ones that were sitting right there. And he forgot the ones that were sitting on the upper secretary desk. He took the ones that was close near me so he could have something to throw at me. I said, okay. I already knew what it was. When I went to tell him about my business, Paul, and everything and what I do, the housing program, it was like he wasn't worrying about none of that. It was more like, what did you do? I ain't do shit. I just came out of, I just finished having a board meeting with my staff and directors. That's why sometimes when they come in, and I understand you don't know what's what. I understand you don't know. And then you outside talking to a bunch of people, because I'm trying to help you understand the type of people I deal with. You out there talking to a bunch of people with mental illness, and you believe in everything they say. And I'm going to tell you about the program because I want you to know the people you're dealing with. And they never pay attention. So be honest with you, I would love to sit with whoever teach them to better help them understand. When you have a certain group of people in society and you wonder why they act the way they do, but if you never lived around them or you never lived a certain way, to better explain. Now, to make it simple, I didn't know at the time that they have a person that actually deals with community events, like a sergeant or something, that's over top of that. I didn't know, but I was introduced to the one over the Eastern District. So I was able to talk with him because they have monthly meetings with a lot of the like residents, and they have monthly meetings with the neighborhood association people, you know, because the goal is when you have a community that's very, very destructive, you have to gain control over that community. So now, when I say I have 32 years clean from that destructive lifestyle, I can come in with some people and we can help you understand how to gain control back over that community. But it got to be the community involved. The police is already there. They doing the best they can. Then you got your nonprofits that's getting paid to come into the community to basically bring structure over the community. So I'm wondering why your nonprofit is not working with the police to gain control over the community. Did you know all that? So because me being a community activist, because I'm doing what I'm doing, and any housing program that I have in that community is to bring structure to that area. So when I come in, I'm going to share with you the things what my program do to help prevent or slow a lot of it down. But this what I found out, Wham and Paul, when I come into town hall meetings, when I come in, I'm talking about with Brandon Scott and all of them, and I raise my hand, Steve Copeland from Strengthening the Community, such and such and such. I can tell you what nonprofits in the community, I can tell you what organizations in the community that's working that a lot of people don't know about. And you know what they'll turn around and do, Wham? Get them the fuck out of here. Because I'll come in and share what we can do to, to slow a lot of it down. And I found out a lot of our system people don't want it. It's more money in the problem than the solution.
Does the city you live in, do they have their own community outreach programs and stuff?
Well, the police department do have their own type of stuff, right? Safe Streets in Baltimore City is basically one of that's a program that the mayor and they back up Safe Streets. And what Safe Streets is, it's a lot of the ex-offenders or returning citizens who came home and they hired to go back into the community to reduce the pew violence.
Have you asked them how they resolve issues with their residents who have mental health issues and drug addiction issues, and how they're able to get law enforcement involved or physicians involved, stuff like that? That way you can shadow the same program that they're doing. That way you're not being targeted.
All right. Yes. And let me say this again. Watch where I go. I want you to pay real close attention. I have 32 years clean from that destructive lifestyle. I was able to work up out of that behavior, that mindset, and that thinking and all that. So a day at a time, I don't practice those behaviors. Now, you got Safe Streets. You got ex-offenders that's been in prison 10, 20 years, stuff like that. They're still going off of old information because there's nothing new there. They haven't turned that around. So what started happening, a lot of the ex-offenders, they came home with the same mentality, but now they're working for the city to reduce the pew violence. They started doing the same things all over again, but trying to do it behind the scene. Now here I come, right? My goal is with the men is to encourage them and help them to get rid of that stinky thinking. So if you want me to come in, because I will be like a sponsor to them, they won't be sponsoring me because I lived it like that. And I know the proper steps that it takes to help them move away from that. So my thing is, I'll come in and work with your guys to help them get rid of that old way of thinking and going back to doing things. So basically, to make it short and sweet, if you don't know how to educate people, better educate them from that stinking way of thinking and behaviors, they're going to only do what they know how to do. You can pay them all the money in the world. In Baltimore City, Mackenzie Frost, the news lady Mackenzie Frost, went after them hard. So I'm going to say this again, William, and it's not being smart. When you're dealing with our politicians, they know about laws. They create laws, right? Either if you break them, you're going to get punished. The same way with the police. Y'all are taught about the laws. And if you break them, you know how to apply them as far as arresting that person. But what solutions do y'all have? What intervention programs do y'all have as far as that officer to say, well, we're going to send you to such and such and such, well, that will better help you turn your life around, that will better, move you in a more positive direction. Now we're talking about solutions compared to your laws. You can take a person and arrest them. And if you don't teach them how to change that thinking around and you put them back out on the streets, they're going to repeat the same things again. That's why they're called repeated offenders, because nobody taught them how to change this. So you only keep going off of what you think is right. In your mindset, it could be right, but you got to see where you're wrong at and take the necessary steps to turn it around. So a lot of the police don't know how to do that. A lot of your politicians don't know how to do that, but they know how to create laws that when you break the law, it's harder punishment on it. Now, mind you, I didn't understand this for a while, but until I got into politics and everything, and I'm not a politician, I'm just talking about fighting solutions. I come in, and not just me, because I don't want to make it real. I know I say I a lot, and y'all have a problem with that. But I had to learn about Steve. I can't sit here and say we this, we that. I can, because I can only share about Steve and how I used to live a destructive way of life. How I used to go around wreaking havoc in the community. So what God did with me, who can better help my people? You come from that. And now that you have recovered from that, I need you to take your big bald head, big mouth butt back out there and help my people understand what they can do to turn their lives around. And I come across so many people that's supposed to help protect and serve and do the right things with them don't do it. But now, that's not everybody, William. Paul Brookshaw, and I'm gonna say your name. He's a retired cop. That's the one I call my son, because my son and his son are best friends. They've been playing soccer since they was like 4 or 5. I call Paul Brookshaw daddy number 2 when it come to my son. I call him because that's the way he's been watching over my son and protecting my son for the last, 17, 18 years, Paul? I don't trust too many people around my children. But my son, Paul's son, and a lot of the kids that he played soccer with from being 4 or 5, they still hang together now. But Paul, now, I'm just saying this when Paul is a police, ex-police. It's a lot of the fathers that I met on the soccer team that are police, state troopers and all that. And they know who I am. They know what I do around Baltimore City. Paul knows, and it's a lot of other ones. My son had an issue, right, with a ticket. The police stopped him. My son had an issue with this police stopped him for speeding or changing lanes. He threw about 5 other tickets on my son. My son ain't no bad kid. But when my son told me, he said, Dad, he act like he was mad about something. I went looking for him because I wanted him to know that's not one of your average little, roughnecks, somebody, right? But it was one of the state troopers that my son hang out with his son. Told my ex-wife to tell me don't go. As far as I went looking for him because I wanted him to know. When my son said that, it scared me because it was a white one. And I know how sometimes people could be angry about stuff at home and they look for shit to take stuff out on people. Let's be real, bro. And that's what scared me about my son. Because my son is not, out into the world like that. But when my son said it, I went to talk with him. Because now, once again, I'm not pressed about your gun. I'm not impressed about your badge. I want to talk to the human being. That's all I'm saying. That bull junk don't impress me because I know as human beings, we can use our power for good or bad. You get me?
Yeah.
So thank God he did not show up that day when we went to court because they dropped the charges. But what I did, when my son went up there and I asked the judge, I said, is it okay if I stand with my son? Because I wanted him to know he has a good man in his life that raised him right. And then I was telling the judge that my son's goal is to be a professional soccer player, blah, blah, blah. And then the whole conversation in the court turned out about soccer. Him and the judge. And then when I turned around to walk out, when they was clapping. Because sometimes you don't see too many black men. And yes, I'm talking to you brothers. They're standing up to represent their children like this. But I wanted him to know that's a great young man. He's not like your average kid out there that I come into the community to help them turn their lives around. And I wanted them to know that about mine. And I wanted that officer to know that about mine. And that was the first time, William. That was the first time, brother, I got scared for my son at the hands of a white man, bro. And it ain't got nothing to do with you. Because my son is like safe, to me. He's not into a lot of this. But when my son said what he said, daddy kicked in. Not him. Not him. Mm-mm. And I would have ran everything down to him. And Paul know where I'm at, like I said, with all that. What Paul started doing, and I want to say this to you, OG, because I know you with me. Paul more into the sports sides of stuff, right? A lot of our inner city kids do not play soccer. So what Paul did, he still teaches and everything. He's willing to come into the inner city and train our kids. That's part of the multi-purpose center. Stephen Copeland Jr. Sports and Talents to embrace their talents. And Paul is one. Mike Conway is another one. Ed, I want to make sure, Kevin Healy. We all sat down to talk about bringing cricket, lacrosse, those different sports that a lot of the inner city kids don't play that we know of. It's cricket and all that here, but you don't. I got a lady number that I think she do cricket. I done had her number probably about 10 goddamn years now. I done talked with her father, right? But we haven't had a chance, mainly when it comes to servicing the children on the sports side, like volleyball, lacrosse, cricket, golf. And I'm talking about for the inner city kids that doesn't, get to see, get to play certain sports like that. The basketball is fine. We already know that. Basketball, baseball. So, and I also, when deals with a lot of police officers that does do programs like that. But keep in mind, it's not a lot of them like they used to be.
You ever think about moving to Florida, man?
Hell no. No, it's not. Look, I might have to move to Florida for a break. But no, my heart, now I'm gonna tell you this. And once again, I gotta put OG in here. I don't mind because I started looking at it. It might be God's will for me to travel to other cities so we can implement some of the programs that we haven't here. Issues that we haven't in the inner city. I'm not talking about like more of your counties because your counties, come on, Will.
No, I'm just saying, like, I always say that, man, because, like, I see the struggle that you're in, and I know you're not going to back down from a fight and stuff, and I respect that. Where I'm at, we have a lot of programs for youth and a lot of different things where parents and law enforcement get involved, the community gets involved. We every year we host a fishing derby, and over 50 plus kids that are less fortunate than others, they come out and fish with us. We have the touch a truck event where we get the firefighters, the helicopters out there, like all these different events. There's so many things, sports and activities for just the whole community, and we do it on a regular basis. And we've been doing this for years.
Right.
And the show up is just amazing.
And see, everything you saying, I love it, love it, love it, love it. But look, everything you saying, right, is we have it, William. We have it here. But I'm trying to think of that other word where I could say it's here, but it's like so far apart. Like you could have, and I'm gonna go within a 10-block radius, right? A nonprofit that's doing great work in the 1000 block of Fulton Avenue. And then in the 1500 block of Fulton Avenue, they somewhat doing the same things, but they don't know it. That's the issue. Now,
we're not communicating with each
there
other.
you go. There you go. That's the biggest problem. And see, with me, when I started going out and I started realizing that this nonprofit over here doing this nonprofit over here doing that, they not talking to be able to fellowship together. But now, you can have that nonprofit in the 1000 block doing something right, and you could have that other one in the 1500 block, 10, 15. But the people that's living in the 1300 block don't know what none of them doing. I was like, oh my God. And when I started coming out, because I got the 16-foot box truck and giving out donations to people, I didn't realize they were so close together. But a lot of them, they serve within that community. But outside of it, people won't know. Now,
can I recommend something?
Come on.
How about when those events are starting or they're planning certain events or whatever, how about you ask local law enforcement to see if they got flyers or something that they can pass out to the community, because we run into a lot of different situations where there are kids at the home and say, hey, listen, there's an event coming up this weekend, why don't you guys show up? And just start doing that and bringing everybody together, because not every encounter that you have with law enforcement is bad either, and if those communities, those nonprofit organizations want to reach out to law enforcement and say, hey, you guys deal more with the public, here's some, pamphlets or something, that you see the kids out in the street riding skateboards or, playing out on the sidewalks. Here, guys, here's a couple of pamphlets. Tell your parents we got this event coming up. It's all about word of mouth, and law enforcement's out there more than a salesman.
And they are.
I don't know if they walk the beat or whatnot, or they're in their patrol car.
Yeah, a lot of them don't no more in Baltimore City. They don't walk like they used to. That's the thing that I talk about too, because what happened when a lot of the people, and like I said, I can only speak for Baltimore City. A lot of the people have lost faith and trust in the police like they used to back.
I don't blame you.
Right. Now, let me share this with you what Paul wrote, right? Because I was just reading some of this while you talking. And this is one of the reasons where I'm keep in mind why I do support a lot of our police, because I know the stuff that y'all going through. But I just happened to run across some nutballs. I'm gonna put it like that. And it's not to be too mad, bro, because I know everybody's not like that. I'm a little disappointed. I'm a little hurt because I seen some stuff for myself and I think it was uncalled for. But this is what Paul wrote. It says, Steve, I hear you, but the cops go through a lot, which I already know. The inner city people often act like uncivilized animals. Only read that because I see it. certain words I try to watch because I don't want to think the people that I'm trying to help the most think I'm trying to down them too. But I'm only reading what he said because I like what he said, right? And hate to say it like that, but it's the truth. These cops get spit on, threatened. They are punished more than anyone else. Imagine having a turd that lives off the system, right? Some of the lives off the system. I gotta watch certain words because of TikTok. Which he was talking about, like selling the and spit on you, and then now all of this, and you react, they want to cry. He's right, right? So I see this. If I didn't lose you from what I'm saying, because I'm trying to watch certain words, because I don't need no TikTok thing to come up.
Yeah, no, I'm here.
The system is broke, and it's not the cops. And guess what? You're not lying, Paul. I don't know if you still there or not, but this is what that officer that wrote me up with the 14 charges and everything. He was the one that helped me understand. He said, when our cameras are on, we have to act a certain way. If we don't, we'll lose our job. So what I did, I said, is your camera off now? He said, yeah. So I told him, I said, any laws y'all can create because they're stopping you from doing your job. I didn't know and I didn't understand. When Commissioner Harris came here in Baltimore City with the consent decree, it took the power out of a lot of our seasoned members' officer hands. And if I can put it like this in certain words, the way it's designed now, from what I got from them, is designed for you to actually take each other down more. Because what they were saying to me was
the cameras. Cameras?
No. Wait a minute. The way they're teaching the newer cadets, the way they was explaining it to me was the only way they can arrest somebody for doing something crime-wise, they have to see it with their own two eyes. This is what they kept saying. They had to see it with their own two eyes. So I'm like, stop lying. Because if you threaten somebody, normally they will arrest you. I had a client, the same client I'm telling you about, in front of two police. I'ma unalive you. And I'm looking at them. And they ain't do nothing but turn around and walk away. I'm like, what the freak? So basically, even though he threatened me, he didn't commit the act in front of them. So
if someone was to like say, I'm gonna unalive you, and then like walks away and goes to his car, then that becomes a threat. Like, you don't know what his intent is to do. He can run his mouth. But the minute like he walks away and then goes to his car, that's a different story, because you don't know what he may have in his car, or you may not. I'll be back in 15 minutes. That's a threat. That's right there. You can call PD and say, hey, listen, this guy was yelling, cursing, and I'm gonna unalive you. I'll be right back. And he leaves. You don't know what he's capable of doing, and you have every right to defend yourself at that point.
Well, check this out.
Obviously, call PD, but
check this out. I remember at one point, if you have threatened anybody in that way in front of the police, they took you. So what happened? What happened?
You said they didn't do nothing.
They didn't do. They was right there at his room door. They didn't do nothing. He was right there. They was in front of him. He was in his room door. On top of that, he had been drinking or smoking weed. They was right there because I called. Yeah, he was smoking weed because I called them because he know you wasn't supposed to be smoking weed in this building. So hold up. Listen, huh?
I said those are cops that don't want to do their job. They don't want to do a report. I'm telling you, if I respond to someone that making threats, and I can smell the faint of alcohol on them, and he says, hey, I'm going to F you up, I'm going to do something, and I believe it, or if that person believes that they have the capability of doing so, yeah, absolutely, you're going to jail.
And guess what? That was the same guy that the officer wrote that was the same guy that the officer lost the paperwork for him to go get his mental health evaluation. Gave him permission, because he thought I was locking him out the house at one point, to kick my back door down to get in the house twice.
With that situation, right? So I can't tell you how many times I've gotten phone calls about like this person is mentally unstable, they need to be Baker acted, Marchman acted, all that stuff, right? So okay, fine. If they meet the criteria of Baker Act, Marchman Act, whatever, to be examined by a physician, I will bring them to the facility to have them mentally evaluated, checked out, whatever. Once I drop them off, it is entirely up to the doctor who makes that determination. I write in my report, I responded to this area based on my observation and this person's behavior. I feel that he is a danger to himself and or others, and that's all I can do. Now, the doctor can say, okay, we're going to keep him for 48 hours. Or the doctor can say, we'll give him 3 hours, and then they'll discharge him. And we run into that problem all the time, but it's not the officer's fault. The officer is just, okay, we take the report, and we submit the documentation, everything's certified, sent to the hospital or whatever receiving unit that is, and then it's in the doctor's hands at that point. But cops have nothing to do with that.
Well, let me share this. William, please listen.
No,
Please listen.
I'm just speaking from my experience.
Okay, William. The second time I called them and they came and got him, took him to Johns Hopkins. They were supposed to have kept him 48 hours. They kept him for 2 hours.
Yeah, that was the doctor's fault.
Let me do it again, William. The officer brought him back to the house.
So there's probably a reason why they brought him back. The hospital or the receiving facility said, hey, no, he doesn't meet the criteria. And so the sergeant on duty was probably said to the officer, hey, just bring him back.
Okay.
Now,
Now,
I don't know how far they are from the receiving facility and stuff, because we've had incidents like that. It's very rare that it happens, but it's up to the doctor. It's not up to the officer, because once we take custody over that person, we are responsible for that person. We have to bring them to a receiving facility. And if the receiving facility says, no, they don't meet the criteria, they have more authority than we do. And the officer is probably like, I'm just going to drop him back off where I got him.
Why?
That would be up to the doctor, not the officer.
Why would I go through this 3 times? And
I wish I had an answer for you.
And the only thing I needed was this person to get put back on his meds. That's all.
I get it.
Now, if you've seen, because I'm telling you, this is what the Eastern District Department put me through. I'm talking about the street police. The second time when I called them, he had his daughter at the house. So I went around to the police station, then I went back to the house, and then it dawned on me. His daughter was in the house. So I had to go back to let them know his daughter was there. So once they come to get him, to take him to get evaluated, right? Somebody had to grab the daughter. So once I told them that, some kind of way they reached out to the mother. I didn't know who the lady was. But then I'm sitting outside in my truck, but I'm trying to explain to them I'm the one that called y'all to come and grab him. A sergeant after everything was said and done, I walked over to him to talk to him. And he started getting smart with me because he felt out whatever what your name to him, whatever what your name said, I was wrong. So I thought I was at the OK Corral with him. And when I felt his attitude, I said, give me your badge number, your name. Because I knew where he was going, because he was like, yeah, because such and such told me. I was like, oh, shucks. That's not how you address the issue, bro. That's not how you address the issue. Number one, I wanted to know who was that person that took his daughter. They wouldn't even tell me that. So I later found out it was her mother. Somebody reached out to the mother for her. So what type of professional stuff is that? Suppose somebody came back later and asked me about the baby that was there, the little girl. I don't have no information because the sergeant and he remind me like me, him, Clint Eastwood and John Wayne and us was at the OK Corral, and I'm like, oh shit. I called you to help me, and you're not feeding me the information that I would need, at least to get back to the family. So I cut it that, I nipped that in the butt right there. It's not to justify nobody's behaviors. But the thing is, when I'm dealing with clients that has mental issues, I'm around them more than most of the polices or healthcare providers and all of that. I know when they're in a good condition. I know when they're taking their medication, and I recognize when they don't. Because a lot of times when they're on their medication and they're being balanced, we can have the most beautiful conversation. Wise. Whenever I hear them, whenever we talk and I realize it's harder for them to think and put their thoughts together and stuff like that, or they're rational, I'll be like, oh my God, when the last time you had your meds? Normally when they run out, it takes probably a week, maybe 3 to a week, where their mind starts speeding again on them. And that's when I recognize they're not thinking healthy, they're not thinking clear. Yeah. So that's when I'm gonna ask them, when the last time you had your meds? Well, I ran out such and such and such. I said, why didn't you call your psychiatrist and tell them that? I gotta reach out to the psychiatrist. But in the process of doing this, if I see the behavior might spin out of control, where they might end up hurting not just themselves or me or another client, that's when I was told to call 911. And normally when y'all come out, and I'm gonna tell you, I see it when they're in the state of mania, and when they are in the state of mania, the moment the popo come, they straighten out. And then y'all go to them, you very well can't talk to somebody else. Well, they don't think like nothing wrong with them to me. And I'm like, well, you just didn't experience what I experienced. Right.
That happens so much. And then as soon as they see us show up, there is nothing wrong with them. Everything is
so
just
now needed. I got you. But why when I tell you? Because I'm there and I see it. You know it. But then you'll turn around and say, they're going to act a certain way. Because another police said the same things. And the same police officer, right, told me, he said, like late at night, he said, I've been out of here like 7 times because of this lady, such and such and such. I never knew until he told me. But then turned around, he know how they will straighten up for a moment.
Yeah, they do that, and they're very, very good at it.
Well, let me ask you this then. I'm saying that, so if I'm trying to explain it to you, why do y'all come for me? When I'm telling you, you know, about them, but you already know, but then you turn around and make me feel like I'm the problem. I ain't saying you.
No, I know what you're saying.
I'm like, I'm only...
I know, you feel tongue-tied, and you're just like, I'm the one that called, you know, blah, 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 and then you're like, I just want this guy getting help, and then you're like, no, unfortunately, they don't meet the criteria. There's nothing we can do. Our hands are tied to it. We get your frustration, you know, but unfortunately, there is nothing that law enforcement can do. If they're running their mouth at you and cursing and acting belligerent and threatening and all that, and then their demeanor changes immediately once law enforcement gets there, nothing we can do. That's why I tell people, you know what? You have a cell phone. Grab your cell phone, start recording their actions, start seeing, how they are, how they're treating other residents, all that stuff, because you can protect yourself that way. That's the best way. And you can say, hey, look, I'll show you. And you talk to the law enforcement office, you show them, like, this is the video and stuff. But 9 times out of 10, as soon as law enforcement shows up, they're an angel, they're a saint. And, we have to visually see that this person is a threat.
And guess what?
And that's the problem. We just, unfortunately, we can't take everybody's word.
Let me share this with you, right? I watched a friend of mine, which I did not know. He was dealing with some issues. And he said if he ever loses his life, it's going to be by the police. Because he's one of them guys that, he'll count the unalives and do a little frame for you, right? So I'm trying to graphic-wise, the art, he spray paint. He was going through some changes, which I didn't know. And he had a lady by the head, and he had a knife. Well, anyway, I watched the police. Somebody told me, they called me and said, Steve, don't look at that video. I said, what video? Said, Tyree was murdered. So I'm looking at the video and I'm watching the police drive up in his car. He jumps out his car and was yelling at him, put down the knife, put down the knife. So he was trying to do this, he was trying to do that. Next thing I know, he loaded 16 on him. I said, you motherfucker. You told him do something, and he was trying to do it. And I watched that police officer kill my friend.
No, I mean,
And then I got 3 of them in my face. I'm arguing with 3 of them. Once again, I'm telling them, we are in the community doing the right things to try to help our people. And something hit me and said, shut up, Steve. Because they waiting for you to make a sudden move so they can take you down. And I started shaking like this. Well, I'm not going to say everybody like that, bro. But it is what it is, bro. And I don't justify none of these people behaviors, because a lot of times for the work that y'all do, y'all know a lot of corrupt, sorry suckers that do stuff like that, bro, and y'all look the other way. And you look the other way. You know they're intentionally out there to protect and serve, but they out there to destroy. They part of that circle.
Well, I've been blessed to be with a department that I have not witnessed any of that. And we have enough staff that if there were officers on our department, we would definitely open our mouths and say something.
And the people, when I was over, what's up, Dave? When I was over the prison, it was a lot of young men telling me about the officers in the streets and what they was doing. Not just the young men in it. I would go around to this market and they was telling me how the officers in the community was actually treating the people in the community, the ones that they supposed to protect and serve. You got a 500-pound white officer in the community, and I know he cannot pass no goddamn exam. What's the point of you having him in the community? His belly hanging all over here. Was to intimidate the people. I ain't dumb, bro. Because guess why? He came up at me. because he was about 500 pounds. And he was waiting, then gonna ask me, well, what you threatening me? No, I ain't threatening you because I already know what you got. You want me to say something so you can act like once you do what you need to do, you can try to justify that bullshit. See, I'm very familiar with certain things because guess what? It's not your badge. It's not this right here. I'm looking at the person. I'm looking at the human being. Even though you in uniform, I see the person. And when I say, again, I got to go there. I come from the streets. So when you come up with your sneaky, crutball type of behavior, I see it. And I can understand why certain people got in law enforcement. And please don't let me go to the melanated community.
I can tell you, all my life, I ever wanted to be was a police officer. Like, my whole family knew that since I was a kid. And if it wasn't for my kids, I don't know what I would be doing right now. But my whole family supported me. I mean, at least my family, everybody else in my family didn't. So when I say my family, my kids and my wife, they all supported me to get in law enforcement. I've been in it for quite some time now, and I enjoy what I do. And I do what I do is to educate people and not to be that one cop that's like trying to take his badge and authority. And I'm the one that goes to those calls that someone has a gun, someone has a knife, someone's mentally unstable, all that stuff. I go to those calls, and I don't know what's going to happen. I've been blessed that I feel like I'm pretty good with talking to people and bringing the situation down, de-escalating and stuff. And I haven't been injured severely where it's taken me out of work or put me on light duty. I admit, I've gone to fights and stuff. But those are the situations that person doesn't want help from nobody. They are on some type of narcotic or they're having some type of manic episode, and the minute they see us right away, they become defensive, argumentative, and then combative. But I won't trade my job because I enjoy it. I enjoy being with the community. When I do traffic as well, so I pull people over and I let them know what's going on. And 9 times out of 10, I don't write you a ticket. We don't have quotas, none of that stuff. I usually write people a warning. Hey, I bet you didn't know this was a law, whatever, and so here you go. And this is just a written warning that you and I talked. That's all.
Right.
Now, you want to be a person, they got their cell phone out, and right away I want to talk to your sergeant, and you want to do what social media has taught you and all that stuff, then I've got no problem writing you a ticket, and we can take it to court. 9 times out of 10, it goes to court, and they never even show up.
Now, see, that I admire, I respect. But then when you have some, right, and I can only say where I'm at, right? I stand up and I talk loud. And I don't care who you is, you might take me in the wrong way. Now, one young guy, officer, because I'm running off at my mouth, he said that I can I was reading something that somebody sent me about buying the property 908 that my people is in, right? And they was telling me that they was going to talk to Mr. Allen about me buying that property. And the phone call, I'm saying this, David, because I see you over here, and I apologize, Wayne. The phone call that I had today too was, would I have a problem with buying the property? Because he's talking about selling it. Dr. Daniels asked me to ask you when he said, can you ask them why they don't follow the laws they enforce on others, people?
What laws are you talking about?
Well, basically, the police break laws too. That's what he's saying. And I know y'all are there. Yeah, I know y'all are there to enforce the laws, right? And it seems like, well, basically what he's saying, y'all there to enforce the laws, but you tend to break them yourself. That's all he's saying. The same laws that y'all can arrest somebody else on. And a lot of y'all, because David, you made me think about this one, right? When you said that. If a lot of y'all don't pay attention, it's a statement that says no man is above the law.
Yeah, Copeland, I remember, I don't know if I told you this story one time. I was sitting doing traffic. It was early in the morning. The traffic lights were still up. And I observed a vehicle traveling without their headlights on. So I was at a spot, and I didn't have my traffic lights on either. And so I watched this person drive by me, and I went ahead and I lit them up to let them know, hey, your traffic lights are not on. So as I stepped out of my vehicle, I'm passing my vehicle, and I realized I didn't even have my lights on. So I walked up to the female driver, and I told her, I said, the reason for the traffic stop is because your headlights are off. But I'm not even going to ask for your driver's license or nothing. I'm going to let you know they're off. I'm not going to write you a ticket. I'm not going to ask nothing because my headlights are off. What kind of person would that make me be if I'm pulling you over and your headlights are off and so are mine? So I just let her know, hey, make sure you turn them on and have a good morning. And I walked back to my car and I turned on my headlights.
Now, I'm going to go back to the statement because I love what you just said. I love what you said, but pay attention to what I'm getting ready to say. No man is above the law. Who have 34 felonies? Who tends to break the law more than anybody else? And the reason why I'm saying that, because Donald Trump proves that statement when it says no man is above the law, he proved, yes, I am. Do y'all realize that?
Well, that's for a different topic of conversation.
No, that's not. That's no. Because guess what? I was accused of 17 false charges. I did 11 months over. I did 11 months over the prison, right? Or the jail. And I did 13 months at home on a home monitor for something I didn't do. Now, those 34, I see what you're saying, plus. Those 34 charges had nothing to do with political. That was his own stuff. But the reason why I said that he shows you that if no man is above the law, I am. This guy went and got fingerprinted in every freaking thing. Went in, got fingerprints, and turned around and walked out.
He went to court, right?
And he was found guilty of the 34, but he never got, he wasn't actually, what you say in a sense, locked up for the 34. But if you really followed him, a lot of the stuff that he was charged with was of his own personal stuff. They tried to make it wasn't political. It was his own stuff. If you notice too, now I'm not making it, and I'm gonna do this. I just thought about it. Trump is not a politician. Let me take that back. He's not a politician. He's a businessman. So you can't put him in that category. That's why people trying to put him there. He's not. A lot of the stuff he's done is based around his personal business. But not only that, because I read up on this, people like Trump, never filed his taxes. He never did his taxes. This is business. It had nothing to do with political. Then when he did file taxes, he only paid $700 something dollars. We talking about a billionaire. So this what I found out too, William. Mainly your billionaires and probably your billionaires like Trump too, right? But you have about 5 billionaires that actually don't pay taxes.
Yeah, he didn't go to prison or nothing like that. He was just given fines.
Basically.
You know that saying, you know, money talks, bullshit walks.
But William, that's all I was trying to say. That's all I was trying to say.
Hey, that's
he know how to play things, right? Because of the money.
And that was it, man.
Yeah. He know how to prolong shit. Lord, that's all, William. William, that's all. Thank you. Good Lord. Because of the money, he know how to play shit and prolong. Yeah. Y'all some dumb. I said, oh my God, look at him. And I'm going to tell you, look, it's not William. Thank you, bro, because I love what you said. It's not. Ooh, boy, you got my stomach. Because look, this I don't dislike Trump at all, y'all. Don't get it wrong. I don't dislike Trump at all. When I first heard Trump, when I was with the ACU, right? ACN. The moment Trump opened up his mouth, I said, oh my God, he's part of the mafia. When you used to live in a certain lifestyle, I recognize real. I'm like, that's a gangster. And if you talk to any hustling guy, they'll tell you that's why they like Trump. Because they like the way he played the game. Thanks, Will, because he showed me. It's not that I dislike Trump. Trump a hustler. Trump remind me too much of my old days. And that's what I said. Because I see him. I see him for who he is. I see him. He told everybody. He said, I'm not a politician. I'm a businessman. So I don't put him in that category as being a politician. And if you really understand, right, a lot of our presidents don't hold the power that we give them credit for. It's Congress. Their only position, right? That's why I said a lot of people don't know jack shit.
They are the salesmen for America.
Wait a minute, Wait a minute, William. David, you need to stop. I didn't get ACN shut down. I think Rodell and them still doing ACN. I moved away from them because it was like a Ponzi thing. You know, the ones up top had to get the people there in the bottom underneath them to make the money for them up top.
Triangle pyramid.
Thank you. Triangle, the pyramid thing. Because I was growing pretty well in it. But it was just, you know, it takes time to accumulate money. Some people would make you thinking they make great money off it. But it was just a lot because I was driving the tractor trailer too, and I was traveling all over with Rodell and them. But it's just like everything else, a Ponzi scheme. That's all. So so look, I'm telling you, when I first heard him at the ACN, and he was talking about how business-wise, and I'm talking about Trump, he was talking about how that's him. It's like a turn on, you know, what he do and stuff like that. And I'm gonna tell you what got me. I was watching Trump at one of his talk conference, and come on, Tashawn, not right now, baby. I was watching Trump at one of his conference, right? And as soon as a news person went to open up his mouth, Trump was like, and then when he went to talking, Trump went here. When he went to talking, Trump went there. I said, oh my God, look at him auctioning people off. He know how to play. He know how to play people. And I was watching him. He wouldn't let none of them say nothing. The moment they went to say something, he next. The moment that one went to say something, he said next. He ain't say it. But if you watched his actions, he played them. And y'all still fall for the okie dokie. I be like, look at Trump. Christopher Anderson. This what Christopher Anderson do. And yes, I'm talking about all y'all need to focus on Trump. Trump was the best thing that ever happened to us. Huh? Yeah. And he talking about cutting out all these programs and stuff. I said, wait a minute, wasn't you just homeless? Where you staying at now? Because I know you ain't got your own place. And he's a Republican, right? And he's a minister. David, he's a minister. And guess what? He over there trying to sell y'all to sucker up for Trump. I said, don't you do that, bro. I said, you're not a liar, because you're a man of God like me. But the thing is, you ain't even in the city helping your people. Y'all talked all that junk to me. Hey, Plus, look, Plus. They made me think, Plus. They wanted to come into the city, right? And help the inner city people. They was talking about like programs and all this. And I'm like, oh, where y'all been all my life? Because I'm in the city. It's like I'm by myself. But we coming up with solutions, programs, work, like grassroots stuff, right? Ain't none of them walking beside me. I said, y'all talk all this shit. And that's when I begin to understand the difference in actually politics and solutions. And because I was on Kim Klacik's team, when it came to dealing with the conservatives of William, we knew how to write her script so that she can please more to the conservatives. When it came to them with the inner city people plus, we knew how to write certain things for them to please to the inner city people. So somebody writes Trump scripts. Sometimes when you hear Trump step in, he's not reading from his monologue. He's not reading from what he's supposed to read from. He'll come out with Trump stuff. And that's the stuff we started talking about. I was surprised. Come on, Wayne.
Improv. Like,
right. If y'all listen to what I said, remember what I said, by me not being a paid organizer, I don't follow their script. They will give me a script to read off on. Like when I'm speaking somewhere, and I'll be like, no, because I'm not going to remember word for word. Some people real good with that. I'm just not. So I will start out, but I'm going to go. So I don't want to say his name right, but he was running for mayor on the Republican ticket. Because of what I do, he reached out to me to help him because he knew I work more with the inner city people. So he wanted to get the attention of the inner city people. But please pay attention to this because I'm going to show y'all. A lot of inner community poor people don't vote. So you want to send them false hope. And I already know what they're doing. So I told him, I said, no, I'm not going to do that. Because I know y'all sending them false dreams. So I'm not going to feed the people stuff in the inner city that I know you're not really going to produce. So grassroots organizations or businesses are basically the solutions. So my thing is knowing when you're into politics, you can't mix business and politics together. You can't. Trump doing it, but you can't. You're not supposed to. So when you have a business where you building up in the community, I was asked to run for the House of Delegates. I told y'all this. I was asked to run for the House of Delegates on the Republican ticket. I said, okay, because I was looking at the money that Kim was getting, the millions of dollars Kim was getting poured into her campaign. But I didn't realize I couldn't take that money to build back up in the community. So once that was made known to me on the business tip, that Steve, if you win, you're not going to be able to continue doing strength in the community and stuff like that. Because I'm looking at rehabbing and revitalizing houses and the money coming in. So I told the guy that was telling me that, I said, well, what the hell should I run for if I can't take that money and use it to build up? But you can use it towards campaigns and stuff like that, or you can use it towards helping others. But on the business tip, you can't take that money and invest it back like that. So I felt like, shoot, what the hell I should run for? Then I would have had to get somebody to take over strength in the community, because you can't mix business and politics. And that's what Trump is doing. You're not. Now, Trump doing it, keep in mind, he don't have a degree in political science. Do Elon Musk have one? But y'all voted them in.
Yeah, and you see how bad that is right now.
Huh?
I said, and you see how bad that is right now.
Yeah. You talking about a businessman. I asked people the other day, I said, how much money did Elon Musk find? How much? Oh, he found billion. Where is it at? It ain't being poured back down into the community? Well, oh yeah. Where is it at?
Can I ask you a question? How do you feel about the states being responsible for their own funding?
Well,
I know it's a touchy subject, but just
no. Keep in mind, the state being responsible for their own funding, which is a beautiful thing. But where the state money gonna come from?
Well, I don't know what the tourism industry is up in Baltimore, but I know here in Florida, you know, we've got all these theme parks and they're ranking in millions and millions and millions of dollars every single day. I mean, just a ticket alone for just a resident of Florida to go to Disney is $150 per person. And that place is packed. I mean, I'm surprised the U.S. Marshal has not, or not U.S. Marshal, the Fire Marshal has not gone in there and shut it down just because of the amount of foot traffic that's inside that place.
Right. Now,
you know,
look, Wham.
Paying $150 to ride 3 rides.
Wham. I apologize. But look, and it's something Plus said too. But when you said state, right? And I got you with that. A lot of the places, well, state, right? Your state, it's your tax money that actually provide the funding.
Sure, yeah.
Now, when you have a business like that, right, and they pay taxes, they paying state taxes on whatever that facility is with their profit. That's what helps the money keep circulating.
Yep.
And a lot of that, like you said, keep in mind, y'all, he just says state, not the federal side of stuff, but he just says state. So if you're paying taxes, state taxes, your money's supposed to go back. It's like in your community to build up, to support those that needs the help the most. So now, mind you, and I love what Plus just said, because Plus said too, Wham, most presidents do not have political science degrees, right? Now, I'm going to tell you what disappointed me. When I realized that the president, and this when Trump got in, when Barack got in, I didn't see it till later. And, you know, we giving them all this power. We're giving them all this authority, this and that, right? And I realized they're not the ones with the power. It's Congress and the Senate. It's Congress and the Senate. The only thing the president does, either sign it or he veto it. He do not write a bill, a law, or anything. That's y'all bull crap. So the reason why I'm saying that, because it took me back with what Plus just wrote. Now, mind you, I don't have a degree in political science. I am not a politician. But keep in mind, because of my activism and understanding, because I deal with groups that comes up against certain laws that they create. That's why I can speak the way I speak. That's why I understand the information that I understand, because I had to get involved in it. So when you hear me talk about fighting for people's civil rights, equal rights, and constitutional rights as a mouthpiece, as a person that speaks out, I only learn enough. I don't do a lot of research and go back to Ben Laden and Ben Carson and Michael Jackson and all of them. I only learn enough to speak on whatever the issue is for right now. I don't go back to 1619. I don't go back to 2035. I don't go there. I only address the issue that's happening now. So what I will do a little research on whatever. And this is what they don't like about me. If I experience what they're talking about, I'll share a little bit about then I'll go into what we can do to turn it around. I come with the solution. They don't like it. You can talk, you can do this. Come on, William. Come on.
I think we should vote for a president that has a GED. Let's have the average American actually run for president.
I like that.
Political sciences
I like that, William. I'm sorry. I like that.
Let's just see how far we can go.
But see, William, I like what you said, because a lot of them don't know. I'm going to show y'all this. A lot of y'all don't know most of the presidents are like this. You do what I tell you to do, okay? You got to understand there's somebody over them too.
You know?
Look at Elon Musk. It's right in your face. But look, I'm going to tell y'all, when I learned, and when Obama got in, that was the best thing that ever happened. But to me, right. But to me, when I realized, as I got more deeper into, fighting for our constitutional rights, and I realized he did not hold the power. None of the presidents do. And then you got to understand, it's Congress that creates everything. The only thing the president do is either sign or veto it. Now, if he veto a bill, Congress can flip it anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm going to share this with y'all that y'all never paid attention to. When Trump says stuff like this, and even Harris, if you do this, and if you do that, if you do this, if you do that, when I get in, I'll sign it. He was sending them messages. Y'all never paid attention. He was telling them, if you create this, you create that, I ain't got no problem in signing it. Once I started realizing what they was doing, I was like, oh my God. I was like, oh shit. Now, I can tell y'all this, right? Tashawn, stop, please. She steady trying to call my phone. I already read your message. If the man want me to take over the building, I'll take over the building. That's no problem. Me and OGB right there. I'll read it later. But look, I'm only saying this, y'all, because I wasn't recognizing at first the political game. When I was like, oh, shoot. But this is what I love about the Republican Party message, right? Their goal, and please listen, that's y'all problem, y'all don't like listening. Their goal is to help the low to moderate income poor people to become more independent, where they don't have to rely on the state and the government for funding. Not only that, what Trump is doing, and I'm telling you, this is their way of doing things. Wait a minute.
Bless you. Bless you.
Thank you. Their goal is for us. Watch this, cause I understand their methods now. I mean, I love their methods. They want us to become more independent, where we won't rely on other countries like products and stuff like that. So the the tension, their intentions, Trump tensions mean well, because this is what the Republican Party believes. And not only that, they are very, 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 watch what I do. They are very, 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 very spiritual. I hang out with them. But now, this is the part that gets me. Listen to what I said again. I'm telling you their beliefs. I'm telling you how they do things. But they don't have solutions towards, us really doing the necessary work. So when they put certain laws into play, that's either rather Democrats or Republicans. You want people to live according to the laws. But when it comes to, okay, well, how can we slow this down, or how can we better do that right there? They don't have it. It's no solutions there. That's why I'm trying to help you understand the difference between like the politics part of it, and then when it comes down to the solution. So that's where people like myself come in at. And let me share this too about Wim. And I want to say this about Wim, because from me talking with Wim already know the laws and everything like that. But now, because Wim will get personal with you, like other than the officer, he's a human being. So he will share stuff with you to help you understand, stop doing this and stop doing that, because I really don't want to have to lock you up. So you can tell his heart. See, he'll come in with the intervention process. He'll talk with him. He'll help him understand before he actually sock into the book to him. Did I say it right, Wim? But basically, that's, to me, just from the months me and Wim been talking, that's what I get from Wim. Wim is more like, okay, if you break the law, I'm going to have to do what I got to do. But if I share this with you, I need you to do better next time. See, that's where your solutions or your preventive maintenance come from. That's why I like talking with people like Wim, because I understand he has a job to do, but then he don't want to really see you get the punishment for breaking the law. But if it's too deep, then I got to do what I got to do. Sorry, I got to do what I got to do. I'm using my words and saying that because I'm looking at Wim. So that's why I try to deal with people like Wim, people that's into solutions rather than staying in the problem. We know what the problem is. We know what the crisis is. So my thing is, where are programs at? Where are certain things that where we can slow a lot of it down, where we can put a stop to some things, because that's what you want. And that's why I enjoy you, Jeff. People like Jeff. Wait a minute, you cut my money off. Stop, David. He talking about with the ACN or something, right? But look, that's why when y'all hear me talk, if you don't understand where I'm coming from, if you stuck in the crisis, if you stuck in the problem, and the thing is, and it goes back to bringing back the village and everything, building up in that community. That's the involvement. Look at this, and I'm in Baltimore, so I seen Pastor come up, right? The point of the church as a whole is to build back up in the community. So you have some churches that have ministries in there. Like in my church, I'm in a mega church. We have 50 other ministries that's in that church that goes out into the communities, that deals with certain things like families or whatever. It serves its own purpose. But that, if you look at it as a whole, that's the body of Christ. Pastor, and if you are really a pastor, but pastor, I know you understand this. So it's the body. And each part of it is supposed to go and serve of service for the people that need those help the most. And the reason why I do that, because if you understand Christ's mission, He came for the lost generation of people. That's why you hear me talk about the homeless and the less fortunate people, the smug addicts, stuff like that. The people that might have been great, you know, they full of pain. You know, they hurt. They full of trauma. Well, the goal is to go back and teach them how to deal with those issues or those problems that they running away from, but do it in a more healthier and productive way. That's why a lot of y'all miss what I be saying. And even when I yell and I go up, I'm only talking about things, but I might do it I might get loud with it. And I even prayed to ask God, can you teach me how to be more humble? Can you teach me? God says, no, see, that's the way I created you. Don't you worry about that. So that's like me speaking.
Situation to make you humble.
Huh?
He'll put you in a situation to make you humble.
And see, that's be honest. When I'm kind of laughing because I'm like, help. But
God works in his mysterious ways, man. He puts you in situations that you ask, like, Lord, humble me. And he puts you in a situation that you're either going to take it the wrong way or it's definitely going to humble you.
Ooh, don't I know?
Careful what you ask for.
Right.
God is going to humble you. God is going to put you in a situation. You said, Lord, give me strength. He's going to give you something in your life that's going to teach you how to have strength.
But now I'm glad you said that because what Wham just said, and I'm realizing this, and I got to go back to this, y'all, because I'm realizing what's happening with this building. And that's why I told OG to come up. I'm realizing what's happening to this building, right? The lady that, I'm going to say the landlord of this building is no longer the landlord.
You fall out on us? What happened?
No, I ain't fall out. I just got a text that one of the guys in the program is taking his money, looking for that Smugs. That's why she kept calling my phone. So he slipped back into doing what he doing. And see, my thing with that right now, I ain't got time for it because I'm not down there. But I will deliver a message to somebody tomorrow to get them into a recovery program. Because I'm not in the building. Because if I was in the building, I mean, I didn't collect his rent money this month too. So he had extra money to do some stuff with. But I can't, you get me, I can't worry about that right now. That's why when I seen the message come across my phone, I'm like, come on.
Didn't we just talk about patience?
Yeah. So look, tomorrow I'm going to call my friend and I'm going to let them know he need to get into a recovery program. That way he can get into housing too from that level. So it's just the point right now. I'm trying to distance myself mentally, emotionally from that right now. Because I know things is, until I'm able to get there to bring control back over this facility. So until they start reaching out to me about my housing program and stop trying to do stuff without me, so I can come in with my team to gain control back over that building, leave me alone. Because y'all don't know what y'all doing. That's what y'all showing me. I ain't trying to be smart with him. But look, that goes to show me, and Jeff, the unprofessionalism that's going on there. If I tell y'all I need a team to come in and monitor that building 24 hours around the clock, help me with a team. If I say I need like, what is it, y'all? Like a LPN or say private duty nurse to help like people like Thomas.
Are there grants that you can apply for?
Well, that's the goal, working towards it. But now, what I do, Wham, you got, and I got to go back to Plus Jones' word, right? I hope you don't mind, Plus, accredited, right? So
You're trying to become accredited.
Yeah, I have to see, he helped me understand when he used certain words. Most of the people that I bring in is to service the clients. So some places you can send him to, and be honest, because he get SSI, that part of the medical system will pay for his services.
Are you a for-profit or non-for-profit?
Well, I'm an LLC, so I'm a for-profit.
Right. So how about if you went as a non-for-profit organization and tried to become an accredited business? You know, where you're, because when it comes to taxes and stuff like that, you can write all that stuff off if you're a not-for-profit. That's how a lot of these companies survive.
Right.
That's how a lot of these companies get grants and stuff like that. They become non-for-profit. You know, you have these people that they're, I wouldn't say, you know, they have to pay, but I would start taking people into your housing and see if there's some type of funding that the government can provide you. You know, I'm not saying like Section 8, but like something that, you know, you're not charging somebody rent. Because when you're charging somebody rent, that's kind of different.
Well, understand this. If the government is going to take care of your expenses, so you living off the government for free. That means you're looking for the state and the government to take care of you for, I'm gonna say, basically the rest of your life.
Right, but do you want, right, but you being the owner of a business, you're there to provide a service and lead people in the right direction so that they can get the help that is needed.
Right.
Now you're looking at it as a business where you're collecting money from that person, and it seems like you're running into more of a situation where people are having issues with paying their rent.
No. Let me take it back. They don't have a problem with paying their expense. That's not the problem. They paying it. The problem is actually teaching them how to be more responsible and independent on their own. They can pay a portion of whatever, right? And I keep saying this, when you're dealing with low to moderate income, poor people, that's why it's called impoverished people. You want to teach them how to live a more productive way of life, where they do not, it's independent living, where they do not have to rely on other outside resources. Now, we start out like that, but as you grow, this with the other services coming at, where mainly I gotta say the workforce development programs. Because if you only making a certain amount of money, if you only getting SSI, how can you survive really off of SSI? And if you're getting a family and you getting DSS, how much money do a woman with 5 children get from DSS to be able to afford a decent 4-bedroom place?
You'd be surprised.
No, it's not that I'd be surprised. I already know.
Yeah.
It's hard for a woman with 5 children to be able to afford a $1,200 place. Because you got to understand, if she got 5 children, she's going to need at least 3 to 4 bedrooms.
And I got 5 kids, right? So
wait a minute. You have a good job too. And then
right.
Listen, I'm talking about somebody that's relying on state and government funding, because she's not at a point, huh?
I know, and that's the thing, Steven. So my wife and I, we were doing pretty well when we first got married and stuff. And then I ended up losing my job, and my wife and I became homeless. And we had 2 daughters at the time. and it sucked. And I remember having to walk up and down the streets trying to find jobs, and I had to do what I had to do. You know, I lost my cars, everything. We lost everything. And I swore, and I remember it was my daughter's birthday, and I couldn't buy her anything for her birthday. And I remember I took a construction paper, and I made some like sunglasses out of construction paper for my daughter. You know, and I had that picture still saved on my phone, and I swore to myself that I would never allow my kids to ever experience that ever again. Like the embarrassment. I know they were too young to understand it, you know, but to see that photo all the time and to see my baby girls like that, I'm like, no, it's not going to ever happen. And, you know, only God knows the future, so I don't know what tomorrow holds. You know, I may lose my job, I may get sued, I don't know. And that's the risk I take in law enforcement.
Now, let me ask you this. Let me say this, because I heard what you said from a male's perspective. Now, check this out. I said a woman with 5 children trying to do all that by herself.
Well,
not she don't have a husband with her. It's a woman with 5 children. And if she fell on hard times, look what she got to go through with trying to find somewhere decent for her and her 5 children. And not just that, if she's only getting a certain amount a month, say $2,000 from social services, how far is that going to carry her with 5 children?
You know, I can say that women, you know, if you're able to bear a child for 9 months and watch your body go from a normal person to now carrying this almost 8-pound child in your body and deal with all the stresses and everything that comes with it, and now bearing this child, you know, I believe strongly that women are very, very strong mentally and stuff. Women don't need to depend on men to become fruitful for their families either. You know, the biggest problem that we have is the support system. We don't have many people and families that want to look after your kids. You know, that's a big problem. Like my wife and I, we were blessed for a little while to have a little bit of help, but that was probably just like 2 years. But we had to carry ourselves. And God is great, and we did things on our own. You know, we didn't have to depend on anybody. For a little while, yes, we did. But women, I believe that women are emotionally strong. They are able to accomplish whatever they want to do. But if you are given an olive branch and say, hey, we're going to help you out, I love to see women be like, okay, thank you for the opportunity, and I know I can go to school, I can become a nurse, I can become a paramedic, I can, whatever they want, they can do it and achieve it. I think the biggest problem that we have, though, is finding daycare systems that would help with that, because my wife and I, like, if my wife went back to work, the money she's making would just pay for daycare. We wouldn't see any return in her money at all because it would just go straight to daycare. So if the daycare systems were a lot more reasonable, you know, if there are better grants out there and facilities that are willing to help out, even if you had 5 kids, you know, they go to school, whatever, and then there's like after school programs that the government will fund and help out. I believe that single mothers would be able to accomplish goals.
Right there. Now, keep in mind, when a mother with 5 kids reach out to the transitional housing program, I just provide the space for them, for the mother. The goal is she has to get more involved to get into those programs you just mentioned. So on top of that, check this out, where in the facility right now, I have two people that if the mother is into a program to better educate herself, they will watch her children while she gone. And that's no money out of her pocket. This is what my program is designed for. So that's why I said when you have a woman with 5 kids, and if she's getting 2,000 a month, say like the when I said she needs a 3 or 4 bedroom, most of your 3 or 4 bedrooms apartment in Baltimore City is going to run you well over $1,200 a month or 1,000.
I believe it.
She's only getting 2. Then you got to look at BG&E. Then you got to look at what she needs to clothe and feed her kids. So that's well going to be over 2,000. So she's stuck. So the goal is to provide those services, like you were saying, where she can get into apprenticeship programs. Where somebody said something about phlebotomy a little bit earlier.
Phlebotomy,
Yeah.
phlebotomy is really, really good.
And wait a minute, for where I'm at, I'm gonna share this with you. I've been married twice. None of my wives had to work if they didn't want to work. Because I made money to cover all of us all.
Yep.
When I got married the second time, she didn't have to work, but her goal is she wanted to be a lawyer. So I was trying to encourage and motivate her to follow her dreams, her vision. She's a CNA. She loves working with children. But guess what? She did not have to worry about paying the expenses. We brought a house. We was buying a house. The mortgage was only $1,500 a month. She gave me $600 towards the mortgage. The rest of the stuff I took care of. She had to worry about nothing. Car insurance, car payment, nothing. Now, from there, what I'm saying is, it's a lot of women. And matter of fact, I have 2 stepkids that I've raised too, and they've been through college too. It's a lot of women that don't have men to help provide for them. My youngest daughter is 24. Her mother wanted to become a lawyer. So my daughter's passion was to become a lawyer. She got her bachelor's of art degree. Now, right now, she's taking a break from going to the University of Maryland to get her law, license or degree. But she's working in a law firm as a paralegal. She's making $60,000 a year. She's 24. My 26-year-old, right? She's working on getting her daycare license, daycare provider's license. She works as a substitute teacher in the process of doing this. My oldest daughter is an LPN. Her goal is to get her license, become a nurse now, right? Registered nurse. Now, mind you, my daughters and my oldest daughter have 2 kids. Their father might help because I know they're not together no more like that, but he still sees his kids and stuff like that. But my daughters are very, 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 very independent women.
That's awesome.
So the goal with the women that have kids and they don't have that male there that should be taking care of the kids as far as financially. And if we move away the money part of it, how about mentally, emotionally, spiritually, embracing your child, hugging your child, holding your child, telling your child you love them? Because now it's that biological bond that no amount of money can pay for. And you know that as a father. So this is what I do with the men. I don't care if you and the mother is not getting along together. They are your children. You find a way to basically, y'all need to work through that. That no matter what, the kids have the mother and the father, even though the father is not there. The children are dealing with abandonment issues. Because why my dad don't come and talk with me? Why my dad don't hold my hand and we walk to the park or stuff like that, or popcorn or ice cream? Fathers don't realize, some don't realize the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual side of being a human being. So this where I come in at, the big mouth bald head black dude. Because number one, I know what it is to be. Huh?
I said you're bald.
Shut up. Shut up. But look, no, this where, and keep in mind, like I told Christina, and I'm gonna say this, when I only do, when I say the temporary housing part, it's like you have a boarding house or you doing a shared apartment with somebody, and you got expenses that needs to be paid. Are you gonna let somebody come in there when you know you got expenses that need to be paid, but you can't afford it yourself? Is you gonna let somebody come in and just live in there and don't pay their way to help you pay those expenses?
Yeah, I think that there should be programs for families like that.
It is.
I don't think that the programs should be something where it exceeds a certain amount of time. You know, you don't want that person to get comfortable where they're expecting the handout every single month, every year. You know, like you
Right.
are on a schedule. Like, okay, you got to fulfill these programs. You got to be able to do this. You got to show up on time. You know, you got to take responsibility for your actions and stuff like that. And I believe that it'll go places, but you have to hold that person accountable. You know, I believe that you're going to have a really good program and stuff, and I pray for you, man. And we need a lot more of you out there that are willing to go into these neighborhoods and try to get assistance for them. If I had the money in the world, man, I would 100% support you.
And then William, not everything you saying, be truthful with you, is there. Because what you've been saying all along, right? That's where other resources come in at. And like my friend Christine Flowers that I was talking to today, she's a homeless advocate, right? And a lot of the clients in the building, she is putting them into a lot of those programs that you mentioned. But now there are other housing programs, but they're there to take them to the next level. From what I was saying about the wraparound services, and that's everything you saying. You talking about the outside wraparound services. So look, she's like where she's at. That's what's helping me even more, because what I told her today, Wham, I love you, bro. And what I told her today, Wham, I said, I got this guy right here that she just told me slipped back. So now I got to call her and tell her he needs to get into a recovery program, right? Then I got a young guy in there. He's about 30. He's further upstairs. So she didn't know it was other people in there that she haven't met yet. So I mentioned the three to her. And I said, please make sure you get them somewhere to go to. So that's all I got to do is sit back and do this. So if I bring you in, Wim, keep in mind everything you said, everything. I'm doing this, the wraparound services part, where the government coming at, where the state coming at, where I'm gonna say homeless services coming at, housing coming at, like the Department of, HUD housing. So because we've been doing this for so long, she's more involved with the outside resources that you just mentioned. Everything. And common sense, Pastor Common Sense hit me on something the other day, Wham, that blew me, bro, because basically what she was saying, by her being a a human services provider, she was telling me this step right here where I'm going at, Wham, basically everything you're saying, I just got to mention this. United Way, the Red Cross, all of them get millions, hundreds of millions to help the people that we're talking about. So what she's saying, what you said, that these programs that get the type of funding can actually put them into permanent housing and pay like a year for their housing port. But you have to get involved in the services. Like what she was telling me, for the first month, it might be 100. For the second month, it might be 200. Because what they're doing, they walking you into that 1,200 to pay for your place. I'm just using it as an example. And I was like, what? So that's what you're saying. And I'll start it right here. It'll start right here with me. But then all of that you say, that's where they come into play. Everything you say. So she took me to another level now, as far as who to reach out to, like you were saying, for the actual resources and funding. And the goal is what they're doing, because with my housing program, and I don't want to lose you in, with my housing program, I tell people give me 3 to 6 months. I mean, yeah, 3 to 6 months, right? But she was telling me, mainly when it comes to the women, she was telling me, because some of the programs say 18 to 24 months that it takes to transition people. And she was telling me that men tend to move through it quicker than the women.
Sure, because they don't have, how often do you see men going into these programs with 4 or 5 kids, and they're doing it by themselves?
Yep.
So it's, God bless the man that does.
I know. And I do just what you said. I do get women. I apologize for that. But I do get a father that might have 2 or 3 kids that he's working with. And as a man, it's hard to ask for help. So when they reach out to me, I'll be like, hey, King, because I know as a man, you're struggling and you're trying to do all the right things. And when you got to ask another man for help, I know it's real humbling. I know.
My wife and I, we just gave birth to our 5th kid.
Yeah, I remember.
It's gonna be a month now. And while my wife was delivering the baby, she almost died.
Ooh.
And so she was bled to death. And so I remember like thinking to myself, like, Lord, like if I lost my wife, I've got a good support system at work and stuff, but they can only carry me so far. Like I'm not gonna sit there and ask for help, but like, how am I gonna do it?
Right.
If my wife would have passed, like, man, it's. I've got a 14-year-old. I got a 12-year-old. I have a gonna be 9-year-old, a 7-year-old, and now a 1-month-old. And man, I was already thinking about all that. Like, how do I go to work, support my family, but then how am I gonna get the care for my kids? Like, man, my mind went through all these thoughts.
Right.
But God is good. She went to emergency surgery. They were able to stop the bleeding and all that stuff. And she's with us now. Praise God. And but it scared me, and I thought about all that. I'm like, damn. Me being a single father with 5 kids and newborn. Like, how do I? Man, it really gave me a pucker phase there.
I got you. Now look, what you saying, right? Even though I'm gonna say financially, no, I don't even want to go there with that, because I don't want to look at what coulda, woulda. You know what I mean? I don't want to look at that, because she blessed, But say like a young guy might call me, and something similar might have happened where he's 18, 19, 21, and he's taking care of his brothers and sisters, stuff like that. I would bring him in to help prepare him to be more independent with them. But not only that, that's where a lot of the stuff what you said, and I'm going to talk about the professional wraparound services, you get me? that would come into play that would have to help him, to help provide for them. So when it comes to stuff like that, we would have to have the right housing part, a component to help him as he grow and mature more financially, because now he's taking on a big responsibility.
Yeah.
You talking about mainly, say, young girls, right? Then when they get to that point where they 12, 13, monthly, so now you got to deal with a lot of this too with them. And as a male, he might not understand what to do, so he has to be taught how to deal with like his younger sister that's starting to, ministry. Not only that, when it comes to buying the proper like panties, bras, and stuff like that, because I am a dad, I take my when they was younger, I took my daughter shopping. Now, when I would get them outfits, anything that all right, OG, all right, bro, anything that I felt was inappropriate for a man to look at them and go, "Oh, shorty, you got..." No, 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 because it's not their intentions to wear certain things to get your attention, man. They might be feeling good about their bodies and beautiful. And I have to use those words because as they begin to grow up, they begin to feel sexy, they begin to feel beautiful, they begin to feel gorgeous. But that don't mean you need to come for them. They need to embrace themselves. Now, mind you, I can say this because I have daughters and I watched the transformation. But when it came to taking them to get outfits that I thought would draw the wrong attention, I would tell them they can't have that. Even though it might have been something beautiful to them. But I never wanted them with mine to for guys that's perverted to come for
Oh
them.
yeah, don't even get me started on that, man.
I know.
My wife. So we live out in the country, right? So I drive an hour to work and stuff, and so we have a Dollar General that's about maybe 10 minutes from my house. And my wife and my two daughters went out to Dollar General to get some ice cream. And so when they pulled into the parking lot, there was a bunch of Hispanic males that were whistling at my daughters, my wife, and stuff. And my wife was like scared. Like, she's scared, bro. Like, you know what to do. So she called me. She's like, "Babe, I don't want to get out of the car. Can you meet me here?" I'm like, "Sure." So Daddy comes to rescue his girls, man. And I rolled up in my patrol car. And I parked right next to the guys. And I waited for my wife to go inside the store and grab their ice cream and stuff. Like, hey, I am just a phone call away. Those guys saw my patrol car and they left. But
And see what you said, Wim, and I apologize again. Like, I can only speak on my youngest daughter because me and her, certain little things. Say like she catching the bus back and forth to school before we got her, and well, she catching the bus somewhere, period. That was back then when she wasn't driving. A lot of times our children didn't travel on their own like that. But anyway, if she was on the bus stop and some guy came harassing her. Now, the first time, but if you do it again and she feel threatened by it, here I come. Only to let you know, it's not to threaten you, it's not to scare you or nothing like that. Or, I mean, threaten you in that sense. That one you don't mess with.
yeah, no, we went to a flea market out in the town that we're at. And we had a bunch of males that were following my daughters. And I knew they were following us. And kept on walking to different stores, and they would follow my girls. And so these guys, my girls were like, "Can we go into the pet store?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's go into the pet store." So they walked into the pet store. These guys followed them right into the pet store. So I said, hey, girls, go take a right over here. So the guys, they turned right. I said, hey, I have been watching you guys. In every store that we go to, you all, and I'm being very nice about it right now.
Right.
I'm trying to be politically correct. And pretty much told them, like, I'm already watching you. I wasn't born yesterday. And if you follow me anywhere else, there's going to be bigger problems.
And you know, wait a minute. You know what made me when you said that, Wham, it made me think about sex trafficking.
Yeah. Oh,
and
no.
and come on.
They were definitely of the Hispanic descent, and I'm Puerto Rican. Okay, so like, I have every right to call another Hispanic out, and my mind went straight to like, I was immediately looking at their hands. You got a cell phone in your hand, but what are you doing? Like, I'm looking at their actions, every single thing that they're doing. And I told my girls and my wife, I was like, go to the right. And they walked in and they went to this one little spot in the back. And there was like these little partitions that were hanging down, and they walked right into the partitions. And I was like, in my mind, I'm like, man, this would be a great place for you just to disappear right now. And I told these guys, I went off on them. I mean, when I tell you I went off on them, I went off on these guys. And I was, man, the things I said.
You know why I'm laughing? Because sometimes that's how you feel too. I mean, you gotta watch certain things, but you like, don't make me.
Yeah, no. And he's like, oh, well, he's talking to me in Spanish. He's like, I was just looking for pet supplies. I'm like, bro, you're at this store, you're at this store, you're at this store. You watched us buy donuts. Y'all sat there. Like, I watched everything. My wife had no idea. My wife was oblivious to this. And I was like, no. Like, no.
And see, you making me have flashbacks, man.
Oh, man. I'm getting heated right now just thinking about that shit.
You could look. Remember when I keep telling people, right? I'm involved in the community. So basically, you helped me to look back on some of the women that I met that's involved and wrote books on sex trafficking.
Yeah.
So that's why I said you taking me back to certain things, man.
We work with a lot of departments and stuff. We do a lot of investigations and stuff. I'm proud to be part of that. You know, there are things that I can't talk about. I don't like talking about. You know, it's definitely an eye opener for sure. It's crazy how close it is to home. You know, but women, they need to be prepared, man.
Right.
I think more education needs to be going out to that, because it's so easy for someone to fall victim and not even realize it.
And I'm gonna tell you, I'm on this page here, and it's about because, like I said, I gotta watch my words for TikTok.
I know,
and
it's don't get me started with TikTok, because some of the things you can watch on TikTok is insane, and yet they don't get flagged unless you say some things. It's just.
And what I'm trying to get to is missing, like, not just children, young girls, but women. And it's basically missing children. It's a page that I'm on too. And when I see it flashed across my Facebook page, right, and I might read certain little things where they young, y'all. They young. They could be 13, 15, 16, and they beautiful. And I'll be like, oh my God. You know, now I'm saying this because they might come up missing for a few days. And 9 times out of 10, when they come up missing for a few days, some older guy probably caught up with them, or they over some boy house, right? And they messing around a little. So when you look back at it, they said safely home or something like that, but they never tell you what occurred. I mean, what happened, and that's fine and dandy. Don't get it wrong, but we don't know if somebody had kidnapped them to use them in certain ways, or if they was just over a boy or whoever house, whatever situation they was probably running from. They don't give you that part. And the only reason why I'm saying that for me, because when you have a child or a teenager that disappears for a while, I want to know what the heck happened, why, where was they at? Because a lot of times when they run away from home, or did somebody actually kidnap them in that sense? What I'm trying to get to is,
So, so you know what the really effed up thing about the whole, like, okay, you know, you have like Amber Alerts and stuff. You know, they don't. You have a 16-year-old child that ends up missing, right? They run away from home or whatever. You know, there's only a lot. Like, you don't have so many hours to be able to provide so much information, and a lot of that information doesn't go to an Amber Alert. And the only reason why it doesn't go to an Amber Alert is because the child at the time is not considered endangered, which I think is complete BS. Because I think that any child under the age of 18, right, you should be home and in your bed.
right.
You know, you say, you know, you may have issues with running away all the time, and I get how the system is like, well, we can't keep putting in an Amber Alert for a runaway juvenile that she keeps doing this every 2 or 3 weeks. You know, that's why the Amber Alert is, they only do it for children that are endangered. You know, and in the United States, and God forbid, and I pray for my kids every single day, you know, that they come home, like, you know, but the Amber Alert is only for children that are endangered. But I believe that any child, whether you are facing any kind of like mental illness or whatever, and you do run away from home, you know, it should still be broadcast. You know, any child, any child under the age of 18, you know, even if your face is posted 25 times in a month, someone's going to see that child.
Right.
You know, these are the reasons why we have cell phones and all this stuff. You know, we all talk publicly. We all communicate. We have all these different apps and stuff. And so what if your child ran away 10 times this month? You know, it's a quick thing. Hey, this child is missing from this person's address, whatever. Well, let's just keep doing it.
And know why I came in like this? Because why should my child run away if they're happy at home?
You know, but I can't tell you how many times we get these 14-year-old kids that just don't want to go to school, and mom and dad are like, "You're going to school." You know, I can't tell you how many times we have to go to the house and tell the kid, "Hey, get out of bed." I don't want to get out of bed, bro. Girl, you're 14 years old. You live in the mom and dad's house. Like, you got to go to school. Mom, dad, like, I don't know how to parent my kids. All right, well, guess what? Take their laptop, take their cell phone away from them, take all their clothes, put a mattress on the damn floor. You know, discipline your kid. Like, you want this stuff? Earn it.
And know why I'm shaking my head, William? Because right there, you took me back to Stephen Copeland Jr., Sports and Talent. Now, in the multi-purpose center too, I want to have a daycare center in it as well. But not only that, I want to have, like, when you hear me talk about the Teen Talk Show, Be More's Real Teen Talk Show, all of that is implemented because a lot of our youth are going through certain things, but they don't have an outlet. So that's why when I talk about that, and I say this right here, giving our youth a voice. The reason why God had me look at that, because I grew up where children are seen but not to be heard. And I said, that's not true. So now, with me and you talking about is our youth. That's why I said it. Our youth don't have an outlet to talk about whatever that's going on. And I have to watch my words once again. When God had me start writing out that program, some of our youth are being great, smexed. And I'm talking about in this program, the reason why I said the multi-purpose center, because you're looking at 11, 12-year-old, 13-year-olds with babies. They at home. They're very talented. But when they're that young, they should not be having children. So somebody somewhere doing something that's not right. It could be a natural thing of them just doing a boo, boo, boo. But somebody somewhere doing something. So that's why I said I need a therapist to come in. If we can get them at least, I'm going to say once a month to twice a month, that they can help them deal with those internal struggles. And not only that, William, because you right here. When I was writing that out, I said, oh my God, somebody going to prison. Because a lot of our children are being hurt. They're being raped. All of this, you know what I mean? And they don't have an outlet. So this is the point of the multi-purpose center, but it's still a wraparound program. So God had me up 2:30 one morning years ago, and I was writing it. And it always asks you whenever you're doing either nonprofit or business, it's going to ask you, maybe I need to stick to the nonprofit. It's going to ask you what would make your business different from other nonprofits. Let me do that. And that's when I came up with the daycare center part. Not just that, to be able to have counselors come in and talk with our children that's actually going through a lot of trauma at home. Yeah. Rather it's the mother, the father, the uncle, the aunt, the cousin, whatever. But the goal is, when you look back at it again, why are our kids acting so destructive the way they are? And it's a reason for it. It's a reason. But the point is, a lot of people don't want to get to the grassroots cause of what's going on, the bottom line. So when y'all catch, and I'm only speaking from what I do, and most of the people that I deal with, because I'm reaching out to other programs that's set up like mine. They might be more advanced than mine, but they might not have it to a degree where you're able to reach deep inside of certain people. So that's why I'll start it out the programs, but I need the professionals to step in to take over the services. Where let me run to this bathroom for a minute, bro.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I gotta find my phone charger. You're good.
All right, yeah, because I might get ready to drop this so I can send some stuff over, because I really enjoy our conversation. And see, Wham, something I was sharing a little bit earlier, right? By my lawyer, that my lawyer that represented me My lawyer that represented me with that case, with my case, and he's been following me on my Facebook page for a while, which I don't have no problem with that because my goal is not to hurt nobody, so he know where I'm at. He asked me today, why are you having all this problem at your building? So I sent him a message, right? I said, it ain't me. It's basically who I'm dealing with. And he told me, he sent me another message back and said, just take care of your business as far as get it straight, from him knowing what I do. And he's one of the guys, if he's still looking, I asked him to come in to help. I'm gonna say our returning citizens, felons and stuff like that, just in case they need or somebody need a good lawyer. He's a defense attorney, right? And the same with Ivan Bates, our state's attorney. Ivan Bates used to be a defense attorney. And I heard a lot of people say, oh, he good, man. He got us off of this and got us off of that. But now, mind you, he's a defense attorney. I mean, he's a defense attorney, but now he's a prosecutor. So the people that he got off of stuff, he said he gonna be real good at prosecuting people. I bust out laughing because he went into another arena with it. So the reason why I'm saying this, Win, you have to know. That's why I like to know the individual, right? I understand your position and I understand your title. Sometimes I want to know what really made you get into what you're doing.
Well, it's not a title. I don't look at it as a title. I look at it as this is a job that I chose to do. Title is, if I got a degree as a doctor, that's a title. I'm a cop.
Right.
It's no different than any kind of public servant.
And I just want to apologize, bro.
No. Good.
I got you with that. I got you. I just want to say this. Because when I said title, it was like, oops. Because I didn't mean it like that. I know your heart and passion in it.
I did it because when I was younger, I was roughed up by some brutally fucked up cops. And I've been in many situations where, like, it was rough. I grew up in New York, and then I moved to a rough part of Florida where the cops didn't give two shits about who you were.
Right.
I was thrown on the ground. I mean, I look white and stuff, but, like, I am Hispanic. One night, it was like 2:00 in the morning, and I'm walking through my apartment complex, and I had a stomach ache. And I remember my mother, she told me when I was younger, like, oh, if you're ever sick to your stomach, just go walk, and that's what I did. It was 2:00 in the morning. I wasn't bothering nobody. And all of a sudden, like 7 cop cars out of nowhere just surrounded me, and they fucking threw me on the cop cars in the trunk and just messed me up. And, instead of asking me questions and all, they were just searching me and stuff and had no idea. And so with those situations, I wanted to be them, but not them.
But yeah.
I wanted to be that officer that's like, hey, what's going on, man? Why are you at 2:00 in the morning? You ain't feeling good. What's your story? I don't jump to conclusions, man. Like, everybody has a story. And the thing is, like, there's a saying, everybody has a story and everybody lies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that. I've been doing this job for a long time, and I tell people I've never been lied to in this job. Okay? I get lied to all the time, but their story and their BS, I listen to it. Okay. And I entertain it. I got no problem with it. But I give them the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
And that's really it in a nutshell, you know.
And that's why I tell people, William, if you want to know anything about me, because I talk a lot, that's the point. No, you better stop. No, but but William, I tell people, if you want to know something, you can always call and ask me. You know, it's like my life is an open book.
You know, and that's the thing. As a law enforcement officer, you can ask anybody any question, and if they're doing wrong, they'll spill their guts out so quick, and it's great. It's like, man, okay, keep going, keep, got no problem. But then you have the ones that they want to challenge law enforcement, and because of social media, and you only stop me because I'm black. Well, no, I don't even know what you look like because you have tinted windows in your car. You should know this because this is your car. And I mean, I can write them for tinted windows, but I don't care about that. Yeah, it's just crazy. Like all these excuses that you hear and stuff, man. It's just I have stories for days.
And you see how me and you talking, and it only reflects back on the officer. See, me and him was talking. He was talking about how he want to leave a legacy behind for his kids and stuff like that. We talking, and then it's like once his camera came on, he flipped. I was like, "What in the world?" So that's what disappointed me. But I realized too, when everybody's not like that. Then I realized I was trying to see, like, how long have you been like into law enforcement, because I was starting to see some stuff with the new cadets that I wasn't used to seeing, more like with the seasoned ones. And it was just the way, from what I understand, they was telling me that they was being taught now.
See, with this new generation of law enforcement, and it's not their fault. So everybody is scared of repercussions from the department, right? So
that's what they were saying.
We're taught to police. We're taught to be proactive. We're taught to take the initiative in certain things, right? But if things don't seem right, your police department is not going to get your back. Like somebody does like I had this lady. I'll give you an example. I did a traffic stop and I made a U-turn. After my traffic stop, I made a U-turn and I pulled into the gas station. And as I'm pulling into my little spot, this gas station, I just said, "Hey, I'm going to run this lady's tag." And when I ran her tag, it said it was expired. So I was like, "Oh, okay." So then I backed up and I went behind her. Well, then she turns a right on down this road. Then she makes a U-turn down this road. Then she makes another U-turn. And then after that U-turn, she makes a right into this property and stuff. So I decided, I'm gonna light her up. So I explained to her the reason for the traffic stop and stuff, and right away she becomes extremely defensive. "I want to talk to your supervisor." And I'm just trying to tell her, "Well, the reason for the stop is because of your expired tag." And she's like, "Nope, you've been following me." I said, "Yeah, absolutely, I followed you. You have an expired tag." Nope, she doesn't want to talk to me. She wants a supervisor. Supervisor. I get it. Understand completely. But before I can and mind you, she's not the registered owner of the vehicle. She was borrowing her friend's car. Okay, so I was gonna pull her over and say, hey, the reason why the traffic stop is because you have an expired tag. You know, can I see your driver's license registration? If she would have been like, oh, hey, this is my friend's car. Here's my license, you know, just to prove, like, I'm not the RO. I'd be like, okay, hey, no worries. Like, you know, you're good. Let her know that the tag is expired. But no, as soon as they get to the car, she's immediately like, why are you pulling me over? Why are you following me? Why are you harassing me? All this other nonsense. And I'm just like, well, your tag's expired. She did not once say that this is not my car. She was just like,